Hello, hello, I'm live. Oops. A little bit later than I would have originally wanted to. Oh, fuck. But you know, sometimes it do be like that, unfortunately. I'm trying to, oh my god, do something about the green screen because it always looks just a little bit off. But I guess that's a fault like of my green screen and like my equipment, because normally you should have some better lighting to use a green screen, but I work with what I have, you know. Hello, Lich. How is your day going? Man. Okay, that's okay, I think. Let me just grab some Pepsi and we can start going through the list. Oh shit, I muted the wrong thing. Sorry for the noise. Actually, let me. Okay, I should be all good to go. Yeah, fuck it. I will just not touch the mic because there's a lot of noise that happens when I do so. Yeah, last time I had this pop out chat thing and I didn't really love it. So I think I'm just gonna go back to having it on my phone to the side. So let me what the fuck? Doing well, got a new suggestion too from Danny Gonzalez. I faked a Minecraft speedrun. It's a video where the creator wanted to trick a friend of his and spent literally months on it, even to a point where he flew a real Minecraft speedrunner to assist a 2-minute prank at the end. It's a good-natured prank, though, where everyone had a great time at the end of the day. Okay. I will check it out for the next stream and put it on the docket. If it seems like something interesting. So for today, I put in Rubix Raptor at the top because it's the shortest video. So for today, I really wanna go through these 4 videos at least, and that's like an hour and a half roughly. We should be fine. And if we do, I would also love like the next one was Reggie again, followed for but every gunfires nukes, and I was like, you know what, I will change it up just to have like 5 different creators like on one stream rather than watching 2 Reggie videos, because this popped up and seemed interesting from Warlock Racy. And Warlock Racy usually does these really fucking long videos, but this one is a little bit shorter. So for sure, I'm getting through like those 4 first ones, and then hopefully I will also have time to react to this one video by Warlock Racy. So yeah, just good old normal reactions today. Nothing fancy. I think like in a couple of days there's going to be another gaming event, like one of the big ones, like Summer of Games or whatever it was. I'm probably gonna do a reaction to that too, just like I reacted to that State of Play and Silent Hill broadcast. There are a lot of there are a lot of like gaming streams going around now. They are all trying to fill in that E3 spot that freed up when that, stopped being a thing. But I'm not really interested in like most of them, so I just don't care. I did, like, I don't even check them out in my private time, so I don't think it will be interesting for the stream. But yeah, but that summer of games thing, or whatever it's called, it's probably gonna have some like big gaming announcements, so you know, probably will be interested in checking that out. So yeah, finding out what dwells below by Rubix Raptor. I'm guessing it's a content warning video he made like a couple of weeks ago, I think, or a couple of days, a couple of weeks probably, more likely. And yeah, I heard a lot of good things about that game. Just, you know, a little indie co-op thing you can do with your friends, just like Lethal Company. So yeah, and a lot of people seem to like Rubix Raptor on the channel. Like a shockingly high amount of people watched like my reaction to his previous video, the one about barotrauma. So hey man, I'm responding to like public demand, and this seemed interesting. So yeah, let's see it.
In the abyss somewhere new, we're ready to get. Howdy! Content Warning is a found footage generator full of eldritch terrors, a mysterious old world, and bad friends. It also does most of the work for you as a content creator, as the purpose of the game is to delve into hell with a camera, and the results are fantastic. Enough so that I grabbed a few friends on launch day and shoved them into this grayscale Tartarus, so I hope you enjoy whatever that turned out to be, and
I love the fact that in this game you create like your own character by typing onto your helmet. That's such a fun and creative idea. I love it so much.
I will see you around. Hey guys, welcome to the Eldritch Abyss. It's day 2. Here we go.
What happened to my leg?
Huh?
Hey, what's good? Oh my god.
Yeah, get the boom closer. Get the boom closer. Hey, Pit.
You're heading this.
Okay.
Oh my god!
The fucking fisheye lens.
What's happening? Explain what's happening. He's got me. He's got my hand.
The boom mic, bro. Hell yeah, huge. Oh my god, look at him go. Dude, I can't wait to TikTok dance in the depth of hell.
We're so
Oh no. In the abyss somewhere new, we're ready to get.
Oh, great heavens!
No! Oh! Quick, hit the TikTok dance! Hit the dance! Hit the dance! No! Okay, we need to leave. Quail, get in the ship!
Didn't they just literally get off the ship? Holy fuck.
Please save the camera! Save the camera!
Well, boys, it took us about 15 seconds, but that's all we need.
My friends are dead! Thumbs up, yeah!
Oh, a doohickey!
It's the doohickey!
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
We're exploring.
There's nothing out here. This is the older world.
What if there There's a Minecraft!
Hey, welcome. Holy shit! Oh!
Shit.
Okay, let's go into the hole. I got stabbed.
Jesus Christ, man. The monsters in this, like, come out of fucking nowhere. Holy god damn. I wonder if you can, like, hear them coming, if they have, like, unique sounds or callouts or like sound cues associated with them, because the amount of times I seen YouTubers get blindsided in this game by a fucking monster is just off the charts. But but that's kinda also like the appeal of the game, because you are all talking at the same time, so it's hard to hear the fucking monster creeping behind you with a knife.
Real bad. Yeah, that was a fucking Tonberry, actually. Oh my, holy shit! Welcome, holy shit! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh, that was in here!
Give me the mic, give me the mic. They need to hear this, they need to hear this. No one's stopping you. I'm not a big fan of the doohickey.
That'll happen really fast.
Oh, no!
Hey, there's...
I got this.
That!
Oh! I got this.
He's got this?
Ain't no way! No! Ain't no way! No!
Alright, let's...
Oh my god!
What the fuck is wrong with this game?
Christ!
It looks like a big version of those, like, invincible macroorganisms.
He's a tardigrade. It's
Yeah, tardigrade, that's
Man,
it.
the monster designs in this game are actually kind of fucking cool. I really dig them. This game proves that those reckless teens in horror movies aren't unrealistic. True. Kinda true. They're just trying to get the content, man. Let me maybe... move myself a little bit, because there's sometimes some subtitles, but mostly it's just screaming, so I don't think me getting in the way of subtitles is a big deal.
Let's see Cypher's camera work. Everyone get comfy.
Can you actually watch the...
Yeah, you ready?
a tardigrade. It's a
You hear my scream. You just shoplifted from a store. Hey, I got this. Hey, would you like to say something, sir? Oh! Holy sh! Oh, wait, what the? Wait, Scorch? What did I just witness? Scorch?
Holy sh... Wait, what the... Alright, we started off strong.
Oh, we're taking fire! There's another! Hey, chat. Crew's losing it. Oh, he's here!
Come on, Cypher.
Whoa! Bombs!
He's kidding.
Hug after that one.
You need, okay, Jay needs a bit more to hug. Jay, you gotta.
Ah!
Put an equals in there. And then a D. Capital D.
Are you 12?
Come on, man. Come on.
I'm now in the streets of abandoned factory with these teenagers.
Dude, the BBC war reporter?
It's not safe here anymore. We've been relocated to a different area. Wanted to-
Oh man, I would love a fake like BBC documentary about some fucking sci-fi world inhabited by hostile creatures. That would be fucking dope.
Fighters is running away.
Uh-oh. I'm slipping! I'm slipping! Help! Save me! I'll help you!
Where's Tails?
What? Where's Tails?
What? Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh, there he is!
Filming everyone jumping into the hole like
I guess fuck you in particular. Holy. Why is my... Hold on. For some reason, the chat on my phone is not... Okay, there we go. That should be good now. Chat on my phone wasn't updating like regularly. Starship, you want the Starship Troopers style broadcast? I'm not sure because I have never seen Starship Troopers, so yeah.
Oh, we lost one! Hey,
Holy
new flashlight. Who wants it?
Holy shit, that fucking monster is like taking them apart. Oh my god.
Family video night.
your house.
Crouch if you're in front. Crouch if you're in front.
Alright, get this.
The Undertaker.
Whoa, Cypher! No!
My god! He's broken in half!
Hey, are you guys okay down there? Oh shit!
From the top of the steel cage!
Oh god! Did you just see
Why did it make a noise?
How much juice you got in that thing? How much
50%. Oh! What's happening? Help me! Help me! Hey, what is that? Hey, what is that?
in the goddamn
Oh, no! Goodness!
Fucking digitoys pulled up on us. Please tell me they got the camera.
I got it, gentlemen.
No!
I swear to God. Yes, they keep walking back into it.
It's only tie.
I need to get out of here.
Now this is a magnum opus.
Yeah, you got eyeballs, kid.
Look at this! There's a body!
We have got horrible news about your father.
If anyone need a positive father figure, it would be this one.
What's happening? Help me! Help me! Help me! Oh! Take the camera! Take the camera!
It's okay, you're alright. You're alright. Can you hear me? Shock him, knock him down.
I can feel it! I see the gates! Oh, I did it! Oh my god, yeah!
What in the goddamn
Jesus. I love how that footage didn't even feature like any monsters, they were just fucking with each other. You know, a great horror game idea after seeing this would be a FNAF type game, but instead you're just on a computer and need to react to various horror videos, but they're actually haunted and deadly. I remember there is that really like cool, it's kind of how do you say it, it's kind of in that ballpark that you're talking about. I forgot what it's called, but there is a game where you need to like solve a mystery on your computer by scouring the internet and looking for links and piecing together like a password, I think. and there are like multiple people out to get you, and you need to actually get up from the computer and walk around your apartment and make sure like react appropriately to some of those things that happen. And I know that some of like people who are out to kill you interact directly with you by sending you videos of their like victims, or sending you little notes and demands on what you need to do, or they will fucking kill you. I have the name at the tip of my tongue, but I'm really forgetting. It has like 2 parts by now. Yeah, that's welcome to the game. Yeah, that's right there in the chat. Starship Troopers is a great movie. An asteroid hits Earth, and within a minute, the fascist government declares it to be the work of the bugs on the opposite end of the galaxy somehow, who conveniently have a lot of habitable planets and resources the singularly interested government would like to obtain. Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about Starship Troopers, and its humor, and it's definitely like on my to watch list. I'm on observation duty is kind of like what the other user described. You're watching for abnormalities on cameras as things get progressively weirder and more cursed. Haven't heard about that one, actually.
He's done for, actually. Holy shit! Holy fuck!
My son! My son!
Hey, what's that?
Just an actual Dead Space enemy.
You know what? German noises is appropriate description of that.
Sounds about right. Oh my god, it's killing everybody!
We gotta get out of here.
We gotta leave.
Wait, is that it? It killed them all down!
We lost the other camera.
Yeah, the other. Oh my god, he played the jump scare sound for you when I saw you. Hey,
What the fuck? That monster is so overpowered, man. Holy.
Press the button.
Oh shit.
Are you good? Oh. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Craig.
There's a lot going on there. Holy shit. Oh!
Secret. Yeah, that way.
Oh.
There's some exercising.
Oh!
Throw it to me, quick, throw it to me. Oh, I solved the puzzle, bitches.
Dude, wait. Hey, what's that over there?
Oh!
We are gooned out.
All for the content, baby.
Oh, that's such a nice intro. Outro, I mean.
Howdy,
Oh,
there's.
fuck me. Sorry. So yeah, that was a short and sweet type of video. And the core bit of Starship Troopers, as stated by the director, is that war turns everyone into fascist, which is why he tells it from a side of human recruits who gradually become more extreme. I like how when you die, you just get a hospital bill. Yeah, I guess this is happening in the same universe that GTA is happening in, where you get fucking mangled by a train like a smudge on the ground, and then you just respawn in the hospital, and you just have to pay like $500.
The elder.
So yeah, next up we have a thing I've been actually waiting for a little bit, but other things got in the way. And the next video is going to be weaponizing the elderly in Total Warhammer 3 by Reggie. Supposedly a very good video, as said by some patrons in the chat, like the usuals of my channel, you know, so yeah, I'm excited. Reggie's videos so far have been like straight up bangers, so
Truly some of the most terrifying creatures in the entire Warhammer universe, because they spend their entire
oh, I thought he's just gonna say in the universe in general, not just the Warhammer fantasy, because I mean, is that fucking wrong though?
day skittering through the forests like an osteoporotic centipede while using strange ingredients to conjure dark magic. And even if you are their ally, there's at least a 50% chance they'll forget this and shoot you with a crossbow. But we won't have to worry about that.
I mean, true.
Because
again, also true to real life, not just Warhammer fantasy.
today, we are the elderly, and we're going to be trying to survive the apocalypse. And no, I'm not talking about a flight of stairs. We're up against a vampire apocalypse, except this time I've installed a mod that increases its difficulty by 1000%, which inevitably results in this. There's only going to be 2 rules to win. We must 1. Assassinate Vlad von Karstein, and 2. Protect Kislev at all costs. If at any point I lose this city, I will delete the save before detonating my explosive vest, which will instantly vaporize myself along with my 200 square foot apartment. But before we begin, I have a question for you. Have you ever felt like your paintings were somehow inadequate? Like they lack the strength and certainty of cold hard steel? Well, look no further, because this video is sponsored by Displate, a company which sells premium branded artwork printed directly onto a sleek, smooth metal canvas. You want this item, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not okay to cut down an entire rainforest just to decorate your room. Trees are alive, and they have feelings. You know what doesn't have feelings? Rocks. We're gonna go to war with the rocks, and we're gonna make so many high-quality metal posters out of them, it's gonna be absolutely nuts. You'll be able to get whatever you're passionate about. Neo-Japanese, 18th century Spanish artwork, even Warhammer. It's all there. And the best part? They're going to be super durable. In fact, I like to use my Displate as a ballistic shield. Legally, that's not a suggestion, just a personal preference. Additionally, Displates are incredibly easy to mount. No more slamming holes in your drywall. Simply put the sticker on the wall, attach the magnet to the sticker, attach the Displate to the magnet, and luxuriate in the bliss of high culture. Also, don't forget, each Displate is a collector's item. That's why I hang mine up with the plastic wrap still on. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below and use my discount code to get some Displates for up to 35% off. And your order should reach you within 4 to 5 days directly from Europe. Thank you, Displate. Now back to the video. Alright, here we are on the bleak coast.
Hold on. Somebody called me and I need to call them back. So sorry. I'm just gonna go away for a second. Okay, I'm back. Fuck me, my setup is straight up shit, bro. The challenge to assassinate Vlad is so funny because he respawns in only one turn. As soon as it's his turn to play, he's back at full health. What the fuck? But is that like in normal gameplay or just in this crazy mod?
I know it may look like the site of a nuclear detonation, but don't be deceived. It's actually much worse. Because to our north are the Dark Elves, our east, Dark Elves, and our south, yes indeed, Dark Elves. Being surrounded by this many slimy freaks has increased our chances of being victimized with a strap-on by upwards of 90%, and I don't like those odds. So I decided to start proactively killing my neighbors. After a few turns, we had made our way down the coast to a battle at Arnheim.
That's normal gameplay? How do you fucking win against him then? Just take his city?
Where several elves intended to massacre us, but what they didn't realize was that I had already recruited a deranged leper who has conditioned a flock of crows to attack his enemies. The crows pecked and clawed at our adversaries, weakening them substantially and allowing my small collection of spiders to overwhelm them. This is but a fraction of the power you can unlock by becoming senile. Speaking of which, Mother Astankia has a small but formidable sweatshop called the Witch's Hut. You see, when we defeat an opponent, we gather magical trinkets from them, such as their teeth and sometimes even their spines. We can then combine these items at the Witch's Hut to generate powerful buffs for our units. For example, by combining a rotting femur with an elven skull, we can create a consumable that causes our soldiers to explode on death. After giving this item to a group of inebriated farmers, we have effectively converted 120 men into 120 mobilized bricks of C4. The best part is that the more of these trinkets we create, the stronger we become, unlocking new and powerful hexes, which is good because if we want to have any hope of surviving Armageddon, we're going to need Astankia's final and most influential hex. But that's a long ways away, and the fastest way to get there is by killing a lot of people and harvesting their body parts for arts and the fastest way to get there is by killing
Okay, interesting spell.
a lot of people and harvesting their body parts for arts and crafts projects. So let's continue. With the first faction of elves defeated, we can now begin some infrastructural renovations. Personally, I recommend destroying the Earthen Hollow, because all it does is let you recruit spiders. And I know bug maxing may look cool and fun, but it's not, and it sucks. So we're replacing this with the only building chain you need in the entire game, the Eerie Woods. This allows us to recruit Akshina ambushers, which you will soon realize are absolutely broken. But for now, I need to communicate with my neighbor, and the only language I speak is violence. So I declared war on Marathi and invaded her territory. She attempted to stop us at the Petrified Forest, but remember those Akshina ambushers? Yeah, well, they have the stalk ability, which makes them functionally invisible, and I also unlocked Snipe, which allows them to fire without revealing their position. This combination enables them to stand 20 feet away from someone and shoot them in the side of the head without anyone even noticing. Anyway, I use this technique
the fucking Skyrim stealth archer experience.
slaughter most of Marathi's army, and whoever survived was eventually ground to dust against my meat shield of Eastern Europeans. Truly a horrifying death. Much like a small child doing battle against a steamroller, the Dark Elf military was flattened, at which point they sent us a message begging for peace, and I took that personally. So I divided my armies up and violently acquired the rest of their property. But for each action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, and in this case, it took the form of a horde of men covered in feces marauding their way through my territory and burning my cities to the ground. I wasn't prepared for this, and by the time I stopped them, my economy was devastated. So I had to start getting creative to make money. For example, I sailed across the ocean and attacked Count Noctilus for the crime of violating a restraining order that existed exclusively in my head. The simple act of beating a waterlogged corpse with a hammer had apparently made me a hero among the High Elves, and I was able to forge an alliance with Tora Nock and sell them back their own settlement for 1700 gold. Not too bad. Around this time, my armies also started doing this weird thing where they would move at superhuman speeds on the campaign map. I don't know how to explain this, but it is equally frightening and convenient. In other news, we engaged in a quest battle against some Skaven and Nurgle warriors, and I'll just summarize it by saying they didn't bring enough missile resistance. By defeating them, we acquired some magical ingredients, 9,000 gold, and we unlocked Astankya's second hex, Coven's Curse Mark. This allows us to target enemy armies on the campaign map and drain their movement points, effectively stun-locking them for 5 turns. Between this and the ambushers...
Holy fuck, man! That seems a little strong. Jesus!
To be realizing that this faction's existence is predicated entirely on the merits of being a scumbag. Anyway, all of this killing has drawn the attention of a new Kislev hero, the Golden Knight. She's a melee specialist that also has a number of support auras for nearby soldiers, but most importantly, she looks very, very cool. So we recruited her to Astankya's army and prepared for our next move, which is to go from here to here. But how will we do that? Well, if our sweatshop can produce enough gift store trinkets, we'll receive a quest battle to unlock our next major spell, and we can use that to teleport to Kislev. I just need more ingredients, and I think I know where to find them. I declared war on the Sisters of Twilight and structured my whole military philosophy around...
yes, looking for some involuntary donators for teeth and spines.
Not fighting them in their god-forsaken settlements. That's just a moral stance I take, because their maps suck. But we can't always get what we want. Don't worry though, I'll tell you exactly how to get through this. Simply enter the battle and leave your Akshina ambushers right here. Place the game on triple speed and go smoke 5 or 6 cigarettes. By the time you come back, all of the elves will be dead, and you'll be addicted to nicotine. This tactic allowed Astankya to girl boss her way through the remaining Wood Elf territories, which unlocked our next quest battle. This
AI Ostankya also has all of these abilities and will use them on you if you're at war with her. Man, holy fuck. Oh, but that's so you know what? I don't mind AI. Wood Elf AI is unironically great, which makes them very hard to fight. I don't mind AI using like their spells in battle, but when somebody fucks me over on the like overworld map by taking my fucking movement points away, I would get so mad at that. Wasn't there a spell like that in Heroes? I know there was a lot of busted abilities for your movement, which basically made everybody in the LAN party hate you because your turn would go on for fucking ever. But I think there was one to also slow other heroes. And man, abilities like that are so fucking annoying. Like, nobody minds getting slowed in battle, you're just using your abilities, but there is something that evokes primal rage when you fuck with somebody on the overworld map and not in actual battles.
Quest is, on paper, very easy. We're working with one gang of wood elves to kill another, and as a supporter of elf-on-elf violence, I was positively thrilled. The issue is this gigantic dickhead needs to survive. I tried to protect him, I really did, but he displayed a mind-boggling amount of suicidal tendencies. For example, he spent the entire battle standing perfectly still and letting enemy archers light him on fire. This caused him to die and us to fail the quest, which for some reason killed all of my ambushers. To put it simply, honestly, I was pissed. 5 turns later, we tried again, and it went much better, because I successfully disabled the archers by running over them in a toboggan and hitting them with every spell I have access to. Clearly distraught by the fact he couldn't grief me anymore, my tree man ally wandered off into the forest by himself, leaving me alone to defeat the remaining enemies, and honestly, I was relieved. After a fairly messy battle, we came out on top, unlocking Astankia's teleportation ability. I was pretty hopped up on the high of killing wood elves, and in this frenzy, I quickly teleported my main army to Kislev. Perhaps sensing this, our Skaven neighbors declared war on us back at home.
I don't think there was a spell to take away overworld movement, but there was a bunch of other ways to cripple movement. No, I mean, not to completely stop it, because that would be, people would bring knives to fucking Heroes LAN parties if there was an ability to completely deny you your turn. I mean, like you said, just make your pool of movement points smaller, make you less effective for that turn. You know, whatever you wanna call it. I think everybody fucking hates that. Even if it doesn't completely like ruin your game, lose you the match, whatever. I think I speak for everybody when I say like that is one of the most hated things that can be done to you in like turn-based strategies.
Launching attacks in the north and the south. I responded with 2 different tactics. In the north, I used my Hex to stunlock the enemy general for 5 turns and make him watch as I captured all of his territory. I believe he could appreciate this tactic because, much like the Skaven, it was absolutely filthy. In the south, I intercepted their army and used one of our most powerful trinkets, the Whiff of Madness. By putting this on an enemy, it causes them to suffer a psychotic break, during which they'll spend the entire battle running around in circles until they tire themselves out and give up. I just so happen to have like 15 of these trinkets, so I...
Man, like... this babushka seems really strong. Holy.
put them on every unit I could, including the enemy general.
I had a buddy who would make a single hero with a dragonfly, so he would have movement to run around and steal armor resource buildings. Yeah, that's a typical fucking Game of Heroes, man.
We still had to kill a few people just to prove a point, but the trinkets made them so acutely insane that they forgot how their weapons worked, which is why their flamethrower squad is currently frothing at the mouth and charging into melee combat. As you may imagine, this tactic was less than effective. Now back to Kislev. Immediately upon exiting the portal, the first thing I saw was a wood elf, and before I could think, my reflexes kicked in, causing me to declare war on their entire faction and eviscerate thousands of non-combatants. Honestly, they shouldn't have put me in a self-defense situation like that. Alright, so we're here in Kislev, and it's kind of a mess. We have mutated rats, sadomasochistic orcs, short people who are not coping well, and a man who probably spends his spare time luxuriating in septic tanks. Truly, a sick and twisted assortment of characters, and they're all trying to destroy our capital city. Right now, it belongs to Katerin, but honestly, I really don't trust her. So I'm going to confederate her faction. The only issue is, she thinks we're a bunch of losers and doesn't want to team up. I tried everything to impress her. I massacred 1,700 wood elves, she didn't care. I slaughtered over 5,000 orcs, still nothing. I even tried giving her settlements, but yet she ignored my advances. That's when I took the biggest black pill of all and realized the key to getting the girl of your dreams is not to improve yourself, but rather to make her worse. So from here on out, I started focusing all of my resources on making Katerin lose the war. If we can make her start losing, she just might become desperate enough to accept me into her life. So how can we sabotage her empire? Well, I started by using my teleportation spell to relocate Katerin to the middle of the desert. With her main army now in a sand dune 1,200 miles away...
What the fuck? Why can you do that to other heroes in this game? There has to be like heavy restrictions in normal PvP for that, right? I love the charging animation for the weapon teams. They're like fat beetles running at you. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
I figured she may be nervous, so I offered a defensive alliance, which I then used to force her into several wars with her neighbors. The pressure was mounting, but she was still holding her own with a second army, so he had to go on vacation as well. Finally, this caused her to start losing ground to the Chaos Dwarves and Skaven, which is when I graciously offered to confederate our factions, and of course, she accepted. Gentlemen, I believe this form of emotional manipulation is what the autistic youth are calling Riz. So, we now own all of Kislev's territories, which immediately put our income at a very impressive negative 8,000 gold per turn. But after abandoning the North African division of our military, we were back to being profitable, very profitable. This influx of income and military infrastructure allowed me to finally start building armies that weren't just a bunch of Slavic men in explosive vests. I spared no expense. Winged hussars for cav charging our enemies, artillery platforms drawn by polar bears, and an entire army of ice guard, which, if you put them under Katarin's command, are actually cheaper to use than even the drunkest and most chromosomally compromised commoners. This might seem like a lot, but we're going to need it, because when we
chromosomally compromised goes crazy actually as an insult, holy shit. Because why not? Yes, thankfully there are restrictions in the cooldown. It also takes a lot of resources, okay, gotcha. Because if you could just do that like every couple of turns for basically free, like again, holy shit. Fucking with your position and ability to move on the overworld map has to be like one of the most annoying things in games like this.
Confederated with Katarin, we inherited all of her wars, and Azazel, Throt, Astrogoth Ironhand, Archaean, and Festus are all looking at me in much the same way a Dark Elf looks at a kindergarten.
He's pulling his cock out!
Unsurprisingly, the next 10 turns involved us being molested, but eventually we managed to stabilize our borders and start picking off our enemies. The first and most immediate threat was Azazel and his army of kinky warriors. They started beating the hell out of me along the west coast, and I have to say, being beaten up by Azazel is especially humiliating, because you know he's not just hurting you, but he's also extracting sexual gratification from it. Disgusting. However, we struck back. For example, I made this trinket that I could put on his spellcasters, and it gives them about a 40% chance for any spell they cast to backfire and blow their head off. With Azazel's commanders taking the Kurt Cobain challenge, I was able to wear down his armies and move Astankia to his capital city, which was defended by Azazel himself, along with an army of sexually liberated deviants. Actually, never mind. I just teleported them to Orion's camp and steamrolled their fortress. That takes care of the Ecstatic Legion. While this was distracting me,
the fact that you can fucking do that is so funny.
Throt took the opportunity to rush our capital city with two pretty nasty armies, and with that, the first major defense of Kislev was underway. Our towers made pretty short work of the first army, but they did manage to blast a hole in one of our walls. Normally, this isn't so bad, because you can just block it with some infantry, but they have Gorich, and nothing in my entire roster can block Gorich. So he spent the next 10 minutes at the east wall turning my infantry into a human variant of mashed potatoes. Meanwhile, Throt attacked us to the north. Piss-soaked bullets peppered my battlements while hordes of filthy rodents scaled the walls. Throt himself crashed through the gates with a posse of mutated rats and started wailing on Katarin. And judging by the pile of mashed up dog food that has now replaced her face, she's losing that battle pretty bad. Luckily, Throt is losing his battle against my 4 squads of archers, and once we killed him, his units started to scatter, only to be stalked through the streets by my frostworms. Not long after, we won the siege, and with the main Skaven armies destroyed, there was nothing stopping me from auto-resolving the shit out of his capital city. This left Clan Molder in some kind of vegetative state, still technically alive, but so impotent that no one would take them seriously ever again. Back at home, a faction of Dark Elves decided to take a break from their busy schedule of hanging around playgrounds in a trench coat in order to declare war on me. So I shot them with a lot of cannons, and they asked for peace on the next turn.
You know what? Dark Elves get a lot of hate. But personally, I don't think they get enough of hate.
Back to Kislev. With Throt and Azazel defeated, I was able to link up my armies and castrate Astrogoth Ironhand using the medically correct device known as a flintlock pistol. Unsurprisingly, this procedure diminished his enthusiasm to continue the war, and as I stood there hyperventilating with bits of Chaos Dwarf dripping from my bloody knuckles, I realized something. The amount of peace treaties we receive seems to be directly proportional to the number of Chaos Dwarves that we club, so I continued to use Astrogoth as a punching bag until I had convinced everyone to leave me alone. The only holdout was Festus. I know Festus
Why does fucking everybody hate the Chaos Dwarves?
Look like a little piss baby, but he's actually quite dangerous. So I teleported in some reinforcements. However, he was waiting for that and he absolutely slaughtered us. This was an army full of artillery that I had just recruited, and losing it made me briefly consider crushing the cyanide capsule in my back left molar. But before I had the chance, I was interrupted by this. Oh. Fuck. The vampire apocalypse has started, and it's so bad that despite being one of the strongest factions in the game, you can't even see me on the balance of power. After this happened, Festus and I looked at each other in bewilderment and quickly settled on a peace agreement. We're now in a difficult position. We need to kill Vlad, but he's nestled in between like 25 other vampires, and if we overextend ourselves, they could rush Kislev and make us lose the campaign. But on the upside, I've spent the last 15 turns outfitting my armies with the latest Eastern European technology. For example, Yevgeny Turin has an army of over 2,500 pet spiders, Ostankya has an army of vaguely civilized Gopniks, and Valentin has a formidable front line along with several cannons. Altogether, we're ready for anything. So, what's the plan? Well, Vlad is being very defensive, and he seems to be fixated entirely on this settlement. So I took 4 of my armies and flanked them around to the west, while Ostankya stayed behind to defend. In the west, I encountered some of his auxiliary forces, and they were very well equipped with a variety of undead monstrosities, but there is one very key ingredient that he does not have access to: gun. Using our superior firepower, we blasted our way down to Schwarzhaven and captured the city. From here, we do a little trolling. Since we control a settlement in the same province as Vlad, I can use a purification chant to cleanse the entire region from all vampiric corruption. After doing this, each of his armies started taking attrition damage for not being in vampiric territory. If we can just hold them off long enough, their entire military will crumble, and then we can swing in, beat the hell out of Vlad, and be back home in time for traditionally delicious jellied meat. The only issue is, this little maneuver pissed them off pretty good, and they attacked Ostankya with 3 full armies. Fortunately, I've prepared for this moment, because I have accumulated an extensive stockpile of grotesque trinkets, which I began liberally distributing among the attackers. Every opposing commander is now violently insane. The infantry have a 100 DPS curse that is contagious. Oh, and minus 20% movement speed on your cavalry? Don't mind if I do. By the time I was finished, I had applied about 45 debuffs to the enemies. I load into the battle and notice that about half of the vampire's units are already in rampage mode. That's exactly when I began edging. They attempted to organize their forces, but this was made considerably more difficult by me blowing their heads off with a crossbow. Eventually, they assembled something vaguely resembling a military formation and started shambling across the field towards us. My front line is equipped with
Those flying units are going fucking slow. I assume it's because of the debuffs.
Military formation and started shambling across
But holy, people on foot are like out fucking pacing them.
the field
Jesus.
towards us. My front line is equipped with axes and flintlock pistols, and we started wearing the vampires down on approach. But eventually they overwhelmed my gun line through human wave tactics, and the melee began. This first wave was an absolute slaughter that lasted around 10 minutes and burnt through about 70% of our ammunition. Thankfully, it got easier from here. You see, they have thousands of reinforcements, but there's a limit to how many units can be on the field at a time. And since they already have 1,500 soldiers dicking around in frenzy mode, they're only getting a slow stream of actually lucid soldiers to attack us with. Given this, we were able to slowly digest his entire army over the next
Man, the way he plays this game's systems is like something to behold, truly. Like, god damn, he's good at playing the AI.
30 minutes, and that's when I stopped edging. After this battle, I pulled Ostankya back to Fort Chikova to recover. She's in rough shape, but at least the entire vampire military is slowly decomposing. Actually, no. they're not. They appear to be taking refuge at Castle Tempelhof, which is the only vampiric province left on the map. But that's alright, because I've got a plan B. You see, we finally have our quest battle to unlock the most powerful spell in the entire game. Malediction of Ruin is a single-use ability that nukes an entire faction, hitting their armies with massive attrition and depopulating their cities. If we nail the vampires with this, it's a death sentence, and all we have to do to get it is win this quest battle. Honestly, I'm going to consolidate this battle a lot, because it pretty much boiled down to us being attacked by 5 different undead armies one after another, each led by a necromancer, specter, or banshee. After shooting said necromancer, specter, or banshee with 1700 crossbow bolts, they promptly died, which caused their army to physically dematerialize. We did that 5 times in a row, casted a few big spells to clean up the leftovers, and before long the battle was over and we had unlocked our new spell. This was it. 100 turns of empire building, tens of thousands of casualties, and a whole garage full of weird body parts. It all led up to this moment right here, where I apply the Malediction of Ruin to Vlad and wipe his faction off the map. My hand tentatively hovered over the button as if I was about to melt a bunch of Japanese people with a nuclear weapon. I clicked it, leaned back in my chair, and it didn't work. I waited about 5 turns, nothing was happening. Vlad still had like 20 full stack armies and his cities were absolutely fine. It's safe to say I was more than a little upset, but it's okay because I always come prepared with a plan C. Before failing catastrophically, plans A and B relied heavily on attrition, which is why you may be disappointed but also unsurprised to hear that plan C is again about attrition. You see, I've been very effective in containing Vlad to Sylvania, and at this point he has only 2 settlements, Castle Drakenhof and Eschen, but since they don't have vampiric corruption, his armies aren't defending them, so all I need to do is destroy his last 2 cities, at which point his faction will begin to dissolve. The first target will be his capital city. I besieged it with 4 full armies, and was somewhat shocked to be greeted by a crushing defeat auto-resolve. After starting the battle, I realized the problem. Vampire castles appear to convey a debuff of -70 leadership on all of my units. For reference, most units don't even have 70 leadership in the first place. This resulted in half of my army immediately deserting me, with the other half being as emotionally stable as your average League of Legends player. I don't want to sound like a diva, but this was bullshit, which is why I had no problem.
Oh my god. You have to do 2 quest battles to use Malediction. 1 to unlock, 1 to activate, because it's your target's last chance to live. But Reggie didn't know about the second quest battle, even though it popped up in a notification. Oh, that's why it didn't work. Maybe he just missed it, you know. Sometimes happens.
Using my own variety of immoral strategies. If you're going to terror route my entire army after 5 minutes of...
it made the video funnier, so I don't mind. Vampire heroes each can inflict a leadership penalty, and since he installed a mod to boost their numbers, he reached the -70 mark.
Of fighting, I'll spend those 5 minutes destroying your walls with cannons and pelting all of your soldiers with frozen arrows. And then, when I'm forced to retreat, I'll come back and do the whole thing all over again because I've refilled my ammunition. I had to do this 4 times on the same turn before the vampires were so horribly disfigured that they just kind of gave up. Only 1 more city to go. I passed the turn with victory in my eyes and triumph pumping through my veins. And that's when we were presented with a unique opportunity. We need to kill Vlad to win, but for the past 20 turns he's been in some kind of witness protection program. But right now, he's out of position. All that's between us and him is 8 vampire armies. So I gathered up my 5 stack and began barreling down on him. Fortunately, I was able to auto-resolve the first 4 armies, but the next 4, which included Vlad himself, weren't so easy. For this, our final battle, I would have to rely on my hundreds of hours of tactical knowledge to implement the most ingenious battle strategy imaginable. Or, I could just set up all my units in the corner like a filthy degenerate. Obviously, I did the latter. You might consider this to be in poor taste, but all of my armies are half dead, I burnt through most of my trinkets, and if we lose this battle, I'm going to commit an honor killing on myself. So I don't have much of a choice. Optimally, we all survive, but really, I don't care. As long as we can assassinate Vlad, I'm calling it a campaign victory and taking a handful of random pills in celebration. The battle started with the undead organizing their forces. In response, I sent sent a delegation of Bulgarians to remind the vampires that I hate them. This initiated the Great Undead March. Vlad led the charge by absorbing 700 arrows to the face, but his regeneration was keeping him in the fight. Fortunately, I've got some more tricks up my sleeve. For example, as the legions of ghouls crashed against my lines, I pushed forward my incarnate beasts. This allowed the enemy units to gather around my incarnate, which gives me the perfect opportunity to cast every vortex spell in my library. The Witch's Cauldron is a new one, and it's very powerful, but in terms of raw efficiency, Heart of Winter is absolutely unreal. Every time I'd cast a spell, the balance of power would shift in our favor, but the vampires have an ungodly amount of reinforcements, which would push it right back. However, we also have reinforcements, including an army of 20 spiders, each one armed with the Explode on Death trinket. I had them skitter across the map and begin dive bombing the enemy from behind. This helped me free up the left flank and close in on Vlad, who is now sporting about 7 debuffs and substantially less health than he would prefer. Eventually, my Frost Worm was able to beat the life out of him, thereby securing our moral victory. But the battle was still raging on, and my front line didn't exist anymore. We did have a late resurgence thanks to this trinket, which allows my soldiers to transform into gigantic bears when they get low on health. But over time, they too fell to the hordes of the undead. I stared off into the sunset as the final remnants of my army crumbled before me, waiting patiently for the defeat screen to greet me. This was the definition of a bittersweet battle. We did kill Vlad, but paid the ultimate price for it. Fortunately, the allies of Order rally in support of us, and to them, I leave the rest. Mostly because it's 5 AM and I don't have time to kill 20 more full stacks. So that's going to be it for this video. We've weaponized child labor, old people witchcraft, and Slavic customs to save the world from a vampire apocalypse. Thank you to the channel patrons, our sponsor, Displate, and finally, thank you for watching.
Well, that was an eventful day in the realm, huh? Holy god damn. Yeah, great video as always. I love Reggie's style of humor. It definitely like resonates with me heavily. So I definitely appreciate his like little videos.
Truly, the
but obviously they're not to everybody's taste, but you know, what can you do? He probably also got killed immediately after, since the vampires could march right on his capital freely, but it's a great video nonetheless. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, he was playing one of those basically unwinnable mods that you need to really put your back into it and strategize and use like every quirk of the AI and every little trick, you know, to win. So, you know, I don't blame him for dying at the end. Still, like, and who knows what would have happened if he actually got the spell to go off. So, you know, yeah, I totally don't blame him for that. Oh, damn it, I forgot to actually record the stream. Well, I guess the first 2 videos are gonna be in slightly lower quality when I re-upload them as videos. Whoops. The game actually has an ultimate crisis mode where about 6 races get armies like that and all of them declare war on each other, where the player just has to try and survive. Jesus, that's crazy. Can't wait until like I free up some more time in my schedule and try the game for myself, because like every video I watch and every piece of information I learn makes me want to play it more and more. But yeah, that's it for Weaponizing the Elderly in Total Warhammer 3 by Reggie. So thank you very much for watching, to people who are digesting this content later as a video. Feel free to come and hang around this stream. I read all the chat messages, you know, react to what you guys have to say, take suggestions and whatnot. So yeah, thank you for watching. And on the stream, we will be moving on to a requested video. Yeah, so on stream we are moving on to a requested video. Ross's game Dungeon, Armed and Delirious, the first part, because it's a two-parter. Yeah, lately I've been watching some less Ross's game Dungeon because his videos are just so long, and I've been trying to focus on like shorter, more digestible videos for the stream. But somebody said like, yeah, this is a two-parter, so it's perfect. I can watch half and half. And yeah, I haven't watched Ross in a while, and I rather enjoy his content about like very weird, very obscure games. So, you know, glad something like this came about, so I can just watch it. So yeah, Armed and Delirious. Very right off the bat looks very interesting, is what I will say.
Yes, it's the savior of the plants, the queen of the compost.
What?
Jesus fucking Christ. Where does he even find those? Like, seriously? Okay. I guess, like, why the fuck is Goat Simulator first on the 14 weirdest video games you will ever find? Goat Simulator is not even that weird, man.
I knew this day would come. Ever since I started this series, I knew there was no avoiding this game. Let me say right now.
But like, I guess that's mainstream video game journalism for you.
This one is gonna get weird. It's gonna be weird and long, and I'm not sure any of us will be the same afterwards. I've seen lists before about the weirdest games ever made, and for some reason, this game never makes the list. This is the black sheep of weird games. That should say something. So let's fire up Armed and Delirious, also known as Dementia in Europe, also known as Granny in Germany. This is a graphic adventure game, and it's not one, not two, but a 5 CD game. Holy cow.
Classic.
And I'll say right now, they're not padding things. They really make use of it. Here we go. And for our opening logo, Granny takes a bite of a mushroom, then falls dead, or else unconscious with her eyes open. And here's our logo. Then Granny attacks a flower thing. Alright, enough logos. Let's start the game. Okay, I'm gonna have to summarize here because this intro video goes on for over 6 minutes. Damn. We're treated to a silent movie of a girl roller skating while somebody is stalking her, then throws something at her head, then an elephant with trumpet valves embedded in its trunk starts rampaging around the neighborhood. People start freaking out and running out of the house.
Okay, was this made by French or somebody from Eastern Europe? Because, like, I'm assuming it's one or the other. Putting Goat Simulator on the weirdest games is like including Dark Souls as one of the hardest game on a hard top 10. Yeah, mainstream journalism. But like also, it's also kinda subjective because Dark Souls is hard. Dark Souls is hard because it's like intended to be, right? But there are some fucking games that are unbelievably hard while they are not intended to be, and those games usually are, conventionally speaking, harder than those that are meant to be. Not to mention that there are just some games that just wanna fuck you over and torture you. And yeah, those like niche titles never make those mainstream fucking journalist posts. I don't blame people making the posts because they're just an average Joe going through their 9 to 5. They're probably not gonna know Armed and Delirious because I don't fucking know Armed and Delirious, and I know a lot of video games. But still, like, the fact that the mainstream journalism functions like that is a little bit sad. You mean like that Winnie the Pooh baseball game? Easily one of the hardest games ever. I'm not familiar, but yeah, usually something. You know what? Usually it is something like that. Fucking Winnie the Pooh games. Winnie the Pooh game where an intern turned the speed of something from 10 to 10,000, and the game is basically impossible to complete because nobody ever fucking playtested it.
Apparently there was a crime scene involving a man with gorilla arms. The elephant charges the camera, and we get a transition to inside a house. A narrator starts talking and introduces members of this family while saying everything is fine, and people start screaming. From here, the narrator continues saying things are fine, and the family just screams some more and starts attacking each other. So I guess this part's not that unusual. This goes on a little while. Next, we get a shot of an empty lab or something with Morse code being telegraphed. Then a shot of Granny, our intrepid hero. A giant scissors cuts out the house while a rabbit laughs maniacally. Everyone gets sucked out into space except for Granny. Then an anthropomorphic rabbit mutters somewhat incoherently to himself for about a minute.
No! He's a liar. Wait a minute. There is recipes.
This only barely makes sense, but I think the simple version is he's trying to make carrot soup and is using Granny's cookbook to do so. And with that, we begin the game. Granny slides down the stairs and stop. We already have a problem. Let's talk about the sound design to this game. The music is usually in stereo sound. Everything else is a dice toss as to whether it's in mono or stereo. And that doesn't really matter, but what does matter is the mono sound is usually completely on the left side. Nothing on the right.
I can't find anything in this mess.
Though not always. Sometimes it switches sides on its own. Listen to this. I didn't edit a thing.
Oh, shaken causes me. Where? At last, something to catch things with.
This sounds awful. I have to listen to most of this game with it partially in my left ear. Now, I'm gonna spare you from that, but there's no easy way to clean this up. Because if I make everything mono, then the sound effects and dialogue go half volume. And if I just go with the left audio, I lose the stereo data from the music and other sounds. So if anything sounds a little off in this video, just know that the real thing is even worse. Okay, back to the game. We enter the kitchen, and after faking a seizure, we discover that the rabbit has stolen Granny's cookbook. Looks like he wants to rub it in, too. Granny is upset about this, a cow falls from the ceiling, and that's it. Now we're free to play the game. So wait, is this the plot? Why are we in space? What were those scissors? I'm a little lost here, guys. Let's consult the manual. The story, perfect. The Crotonian...
I don't even fucking know what to say, man. How do you go from Total War Warhammer 3 to this and like not fry every synapse in your fucking brain, man. Jesus. If you're unfamiliar with Winnie the Pooh, you're in for a treat. There's a game where the final boss, Christopher Robin, can choose to throw a ball in one of 7 different ways, including turning the ball invisible, and every way has a different timing to it. Get a home run, the only hit that counts, and not a foul which penalizes you. Holy shit, that sounds awful. And this is like a fever dream game, huh? It sure does sound like it is.
Family enjoy experimenting on animals and tormenting them. One of these animals decided this must stop. He moved into the communication world and started his vengeful voyage. He created special planets with the help of an unfriendly group of men and strange creatures. The planets you are going to bump into are the creation of the insane rabbit. He used parts and objects from the villa to create them. This rabbit wanted to make sure that his whole family was in one room, so that it would be easy for him to get rid of them and throw them into space. Anyway, things didn't exactly go as planned and the revenge scheme was executed. I read this all out loud so you didn't think I'm leaving out key details here. So okay, whatever, let's just start playing. I wander around, Granny says this bottle smells horrible.
What a disgusting smell.
I believe her. If we exit, I can open a safe with a plunger in it. If we try to leave, we have an encounter right out of Alone in the Dark. If I enter the washroom, Granny slams her head against the piping, drinks from a bottle, then likes to inspect things from the business end. Hope there are no guns in the house. She falls on her back again and says this washing machine hairdryer thing is her spaceship.
My spaceship.
Okay. If we head upstairs, Granny slams her head against some books, drinks some more, and falls asleep. I didn't even press a button here. She has her own agenda. I'm kind of confused by Bingoary here. At first I thought those were giant houseflies, but upon closer inspection I can see they're ducks. Oh, and look at that. There's an entrance to the side. And here's the bathroom. The cow from earlier is taking a bath and performing impromptu singing. I can lay a trap for it, it comes back. And naturally, I can use the toilet. I'm sorry, did you say something? Yeah, that is weird, isn't it? Let's back up a minute. So the Crotoni family, actually it's the Crouton family because the narrator pronounced it earlier.
Home of the lovely Crouton family.
Guess that.
Wait, so we're playing as the villain? The story made it sound like the family was bad and the runaway animal was right. Yeah, I'm also kinda stuck on that part. It does sound like the whole family got what was coming to them, so...
Y is silent. The Crouton family is a bunch of animal torturers. That's bizarre. I mean, animal torture is actually one of the big indicators somebody might grow up to be a serial killer. So I guess these are the bad guys?
Yeah,
I mean, Granny
fucking exactly, like perfect timing.
Is an animal torturer too, or does that just mean the rest of her family is? Moving on, the antagonist is an insane rabbit that has the ability to create worlds. And he has stolen your cookbook, which the game implies he wants so he can make carrot soup. Actually, never mind. We're gonna come back to this because I have bigger problems right now. I'm stuck. This is about as far as I got in the game on my own. Just messing with items, Granny muttering to herself, and 5 rooms to explore. Welcome back to 90s adventure gaming. This is exactly the sort of experience you could expect from an adventure game with no walkthrough.
What the
20
fuck?
minutes sort of experience.
What the fuck is happening with her model right now? What the fuck is that on her head? Oh my god, oh my god, this is a nightmare, man. Why would anybody make this? This makes LSD simulator look fucking normal.
You could expect from an adventure game with no walkthrough. Get 20 minutes in, then become hopelessly lost. The game may as well be over. Well, since we're in the future, a walkthrough does exist for this game, But this is no ordinary walkthrough. Oh no. This walkthrough was written by the lead tester of the game, and essentially just copied by someone else and put on the internet. Since it came from the source, that means it's possible no one figured this out on their own. So who knows how many have actually gone down the path of beating this game. But now we have just 433 easy steps to get there. Actually, I'm lying. Some of these steps aren't easy at all. So now that I have a walkthrough, the next step is to drag this pipe. What? Oh, now it highlights. And if you just click on it like every other graphic adventure game, it doesn't work. No wonder I didn't figure it out. That's it, I'm starting a list. Picky object selection. May as well add nonsense puzzles. This came out in '97, so that's a given.
Classic,
okay,
yep.
So we drag the pipe, Granny gives us a pole dance, a bucket falls on her head, some music starts, Granny dances to the new beat, and a cactus blooms. This tune is pretty catchy. Baby, shake me, baby. Also in the walkthrough, we learned that I was almost there with the cow back in the bathroom. I not only had to put the carpet over the hole, but I also had to drag the trash can and sit on top of it. Then he falls into the trap and catapults me at the suntan lotion. So yeah, there's another one for the list. The thing is, this is counterintuitive, because if you stand in the middle of the bathroom, the cow will never come towards you, like you're scaring it off. But if you sit on top of a trash can, then it comes right at you. And with the help of the walkthrough, I learned that there is an entrance I didn't even find. Look at this screen. Would you have thought there's...
Also fucking classic doors that you didn't think that were doors and point and click adventures from the 90s. I bet you it's that fucking fridge to the left.
There's an exit in the lower left? I mean, maybe you would have, but the visual space is suggesting it's closed off. And look, nothing, no exit. Here's a nice wide exit. Nothing here. Ah, the other lower left exit.
Oh my god, okay, that's fucking terrible. Holy shit.
I admit, I can be a little dumb with this stuff, but this game can be particularly bad with this sort of thing. So we enter the kitchen/home basketball court, and if it isn't the same damn thing. Hey look, a doorway. We can go outside, right? No, we can't. But we can exit under the stairs. That's not that intuitive visually. I guess this one is on me though, since you can see the family walking there in the intro. Anyway, we continue onward, but not before I activate the remote control coffin. Yep, there we go. Actually, I guess I should get this out of the way. We don't just have a normal inventory. The game likes to go out of its way to tell us Granny is storing everything in her bra, called the Braventory. Gee, how clever. I don't know why they did this. I mean, God forbid an old woman carry a big purse. Never heard of that one before. Or just ignore how she's carrying all this stuff entirely, like 95% of all other graphic adventure games. It brings up this cheap Windows menu too that you always have to resize and close again in order to access more than 2 items.
I can take whatever pill I want. Whatever pill I desire is mine.
Pill power.
Based.
So in the bedroom here, Granny tries to lie down but gets disturbed by an elephant. But not to worry, Granny's old. She doesn't give up on the first try. If she wants to take a nap, she'll take a nap. See? Now, I thought that elephant was killed earlier and mounted on their wall, but I guess there's a lot of elephants in this neighborhood. Moving on, we dive into the trash can and end up in your...
This is reminding me of when I watched a guy play Cry of Fear, and for some reason the exit prompt to the room was so large he walked over to a washing machine and saw exit E when he was right in front of it. Needless to say, he was very confused when he thought he used the washing machine and teleported to a new room. I guess that's better than the... Okay, and then the following message. I guess that's better than the joke player character shove everything up their ass. That's wild that you bring up Cry of Fear, because I completed it like a couple weeks ago. I beaten it for the first time, and I think I know exactly what room you are talking about, because I had the same problem. I was spamming E in a certain room in the apartments to try and get items, because sometimes it's very hard to see items in that game, like what can you pick up, and like ammo and medicine are fucking scarce. So I was spamming E in a normal room, and I managed to trigger the door out of the apartment through the fucking wall, and it immediately put me into a loading screen, which I was very confused also. So
Son's secret den. Boy, I hope I'm as mobile as Granny is when I'm her age. That's a pretty good landing from the vent. Plus her flip off the spring mattress isn't bad either. Anyway, here we find a tape recorder with an audio journal on it and get a big part of the plot. This goes on for 4 minutes, so I'll give the short version. George, the dad of the family, is having a midlife crisis. I find it interesting how he's complaining about his sex-crazed wife, yet we found out earlier he has sex on the mind so much he was reading a porno magazine at the dinner table while he was eating, trying to hide it from everyone. I guess when you're a stud like George, you can afford to be picky. Anyway, we discover the evil rabbit approached him in private and offered him a deal to help him set up a lucrative store in his universe in exchange for giving the rabbit his villa and everyone inside it. But before George agreed, the rabbit gave him a tour of his personal universe. So the entire rest of the game is going to be following in his footsteps, seeing the rabbit's worlds. What we saw earlier was George closing the deal. This plot has been bothering me from the start. There's too many things that almost make sense, then turn left. Like the main plot is the rabbit has stolen Granny's cookbook so he can make carrot soup. Sure, that's a workable, goofy plot. But then the rabbit is also a demigod with the power to create worlds and shape fate and time itself.
If you want to enter the Great Rabbit's offices, you will need a time coordinator which coordinates between the right time and the rabbit's time.
Oh, well then doesn't the scale of that kind of take away from the carrot soup plot? So it's up to the Crouton family to stop the evil rabbit. Except they're a family of animal torturers. So can we really get behind them on this? And why is the rabbit dealing with a family of known animal torturers? He has the power to bring down a giant scissors from space and is already taking everyone and everything by force. Why is he negotiating with George at all? He's not special. He's a salesman that reads porno mags at the dinner table. And we already have a causality problem since the manual states that the worlds are created from the villa's objects. But George was touring these worlds before the deal was even struck to give the rabbit his things. This plot is throwing me a lot of curveballs.
I mad respect for Ross to seriously approaching this plot and trying to piece it together, because I'm just here for the ride, man. I let the words wash over me and not take too much space, you know, in the fucking quantum computer up here. Like, man, fucking whatever is happening on the screen right now. And there are lots of mad games with strange logic to them, adventure games especially, but it's stuff like this and Limbo of the Lost that really feels like madness made manifest. Fucking A, man, that's... Amen to that, man. Considering George tortures animals, I'm not surprised he would sell out his whole family. Yeah, but why the fuck did the rabbit want that? Maybe it was like some twisted kind of revenge on them for torturing the animals, you know, so they would know betrayal by the head of the family or something. I don't know. I don't smoke what the people behind this game smoked, so I can't relate. uh, uh, yeah, let me just go take a quick bathroom break and refill my cup, and we'll be back with whatever this is. And we are back. Let me see what's happening. I just gotta say, just think about how long it took to model everything here. 5 CDs for this. Imagine how the game devs discussed this at the time. Oh yeah, like holy fuck. Back then, video game making was a wild new frontier. We have like you know, we have the rings, we have the we have the rings, we have the arms and deliriouses. Like, shit was wild back then. People were throwing everything at the wall and just rolling with what's stuck. Nowadays, like, goddamn, you will rarely find any studio like taking a risk like this. Usually it's just a single dev working their passion title, you know. If you want to see another wild adventure game, the Zanf game I mentioned in the past video is up there. That's a game where censorship is a literal ship with smoke sensors, and the sensors blow smoke? What the fuck? Over the bad words people say to censor them. You also had to catapult rock into a bucket, otherwise it would hop away to continuously build a road and render the path unfinishable, and putting somebody's hair up would magically give them a haircut and transform their hair into a hot dog bun. This is never explained to the player, you just have to guess. Incidentally, you need the hot dog bun along with ketchup and mustard to scare away the hellhound who guards the lava caves, because he's a hot dog and he thinks you mean to eat him. I hate that game. I never seen that game. I never heard about that game. I hate that game now also. Holy fuck. What is that, man?
Let's keep moving. Maybe this will get explained by the end. I'm as much in the dark right now as you are. But thanks to walkthrough power, we continue onward, find supplies, and get ready to fire up Granny's spaceship.
This would probably fit around my throat, or maybe others.
Yeah, watch out. So we move the minecart track in the laundry room aside, and off we go. From here, the game opens up tremendously. The good news is we can go to any of the rabbit's worlds, and almost all of them contain sub-worlds within. This is awesome. I can't have too much of this sort of thing. And hey, it's non-linear. We can go wherever we want. And that's the problem. See, a famous example of non-linear gameplay is Mega Man. You pick whatever order you want to fight the bosses in, and that determines the game's flow. Well, that's a great concept, except this is a totally linear game. You cannot progress anywhere unless you have the right items. And you can't get the right items without going to the worlds in the right order. So yeah, you can wander around, but this is all the illusion of a non-linear game. And with all these new worlds come disc swaps. This is a 5 CD game. Now, unlike the last game, the structure of these game files make it impossible for me to merge everything together. I have to swap the discs. Or at least the emulated ones. The walkthrough says it's structured to minimize the number of disc swaps, so let me tell you, there is an absolute minimum of 25 swaps. Oh my.
What the fuck? That's terrible. 25 disc swaps. I haven't done that many disc swaps in the middle of playing a fucking game in my life, I think. That is insane.
Let's get going. The first place we need to go, the walkthrough calls Gazbig. It's a tiny isle in space with a van crashed into a flagpole. The resident here wants you to leave. He lives with his pig and translucent chicken. Later you can save him from freezing to death. He doesn't seem to care. For now, we grab the cloud gyroscope and continue on our way. This brings us to our first disc swap as we head to the black hole inside a circular saw blade stuck inside a planet. We end up in a giant toilet and open trash dump with some ants on the move.
Right march, you soldiers! Onward, onward! March! That's not a kosher step.
Ah, they're army ants.
Those are supposed to be ants? Fucking seriously? They look like grasshoppers. Have the devs, like, ever seen ants sober?
Well, the living piggy bank with bloodshot eyes seems happy. In order to progress, we have to set up a little ramp and click on the shovel 4 times. Yeah, that's another one for the list. Oh, and we're not...
I didn't have to do that many swaps when I was playing Baldur's Gate 2 on Windows 98. But was Baldur's Gate 2 as good as this, you know? Was it as artistic as this? That's a question you have to answer yourself, I think.
The walkthrough specifies how we need to click on this bracket off in the background by the rest of the junk. Oh yeah, everyone would think to click on that. There we go. And we lower the toilet and head off into the woods. Okay, now am I going crazy, or does the music here sound like the undead music from Warcraft 3?
Uh-oh.
I guess they're both just droning ambient noise, huh? Further into the woods, we come across...
Yeah, hopefully it's not a nefarious fucking thing, you know. I've often considered some games to be pinnacles of insanity in terms of everything, in terms of general madness, Limbo of the Lost, story, Ring 1 and 2, mechanics, this game 100%. Yeah, goddamn. The devs never went outside, I think. Yeah, the devs are literally 5 guys who had access to a computer lab at their local fucking asylum, man.
Across 2 goons taking care of a baby while a kangaroo does laps around us. Granny freaks out a little bit at the XXX sign. Granny freaks out about a lot of things. And here we have to set a trap so the kangaroo will step on a lever to catapult Granny to hit a button. But unlike the cow and suntan lotion, this one requires precision timing. I can't emphasize enough how bad this is. Careful timing sandwiched between non-interactive animations and a graphic adventure game is such a bad idea. This is not Super Meat Boy. These types of games, by definition, are slower and more relaxed in pace. I hate crap like this. Anyway, we turn off the lights, beat up the thugs, then Granny's incompetence causes her to chuck a baby down a ravine where it's left for dead. I think this is the first sign that maybe Granny isn't really the hero. I mean, the tone of this game has been mostly goofy fun up until this point. But that's a pretty dark turn. You can still hear it crying. Oh well, I guess that's not Granny's problem, at least in her mind.
Jesus
so with that, we head down the
Christ.
path to an S&M club of a
I mean, to be fair, this is the most, like, empathetic old person ever. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Matrix beating up some aliens or something. Granny ends up joining and hammering the alien's fingers, then giving the other one a smack too. This is adding to the vibe that Granny is not a kind-hearted soul. But in her defense, from how she talks to herself, she seems to be going with the flow more than anything else, and could be in just sort of a haze of senility. Don't worry, we'll come back to that.
Pay attention to the baby. Ross misses this, but I think you can notice what's displayed. Ross says it has a tail, but when you pause the video when the baby is tossed, you can see it's not a tail, it's an umbilical cord. What in the fuck, man? Holy shit. Bro, this game is literally fucking insane.
But we're done here.
This game is resonating fucking like an Elden Ring madness debuff, and I feel it stacking in my fucking bones.
On a lighter note, we head to the door world, or whatever this is. I will say I do like a lot of the...
Thank God this is fucking split into 2 parts. This would kill me if I watched this in a single sitting. Holy shit.
And from here we head to Pinball World. This isn't on the map. This is one of the sub-worlds. Again, I cannot have too much of this sort of thing. Next, Granny joins the ranks of Sonic the Hedgehog as a video game character who also moonlights as a pinball. And our first stop is at a gun shop where the owner is a little preoccupied.
Whatever. This is like my first launch. Oh, that's good. I'm walking on the moon, baby. I'm in zero gravity. Oh, yeah. Somebody put up a heat shield. Oh, mama. Oh, God. Oh, yes. Walking on the moon. This is one small step for man, one giant leap for sex. Oh, baby.
Anyway, cowboy astronaut Elvis comes to the front of the store. Granny manages to not kill herself, then suddenly we're attacked by a robber who steals Granny's inventory. And as a quick tip to any aspiring robbers in the audience, unless you're a Terminator, I would advise against robbing a gun store. Anyway, Granny is having none of this, so she immediately chases down the robber and gets her inventory back. Which kind of makes you wonder what the point to any of that was. Moving on, we head into a bar, and here we have yet another puzzle that would not have occurred to me.
What do you even fucking say at this point? Like...
First, we have to hand a beer to the poker player, which Granny spits in because she's a misanthrope, I guess? I mean, a lot of Granny's behavior you can blame on dementia, but this seems kind of mean to do to a complete stranger. Anyway, the puzzle here is, you see that coat rack in the back? Yeah, there, behind the IV drip. Well, you have to add your coat hanger to that, then click on the door with just the right timing as the player exits the bathroom to lock them in there somehow. Who would think to do this? You can barely see it to start, plus the physics of it don't quite make sense to me, but whatever. We then take their place at the poker table, Granny plays 52 card pickup, the guy in the wheelchair leaves because he can tell this is going south, Granny steals something, and we're off. Da-da-da! From here we head to Lower Door World, get a disc swap, and now's a...
I can hear and feel my brain like melting. Like the... Like it's unraveling bit by bit, you know, it's becoming fucking mush.
A great time to mention this game is a bastard.
Christ.
See, I originally tried to run this on Windows 98, didn't happen. But hey, the game did run on Windows XP. The inventory colors were off and it would crash for every single time I had to swap the disc, but I could insert the new CD and resume my progress by relaunching the game. Well, not anymore. See, this is disc 5, and disc 5 hates everyone. You can play this game on XP, but you'll never beat it. So I bit the bullet and did a Windows 95 install, which I tend to be afraid of because it seems like I always have trouble with the sound card drivers, but it worked. How fitting that a game about madness will only run on Windows 95. This is the European version Dementia, though. I used to have the USA version, but a disc got scratched in a stairway accident, and if you lose one disc on a 5-disc game, it's all over. So maybe this is a regional problem, but I doubt it. Even on 95, if I try to load this game off of disc 5 first...
I respect Ross so much for going through all of this trouble, like, holy hell. But then again, are there even like, you know, backups you can pirate from the internet of fucking armed and delirious / dementia? I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know, the one it wants, it still gets grumpy. And even when I have the right disc using a CD emulator, Windows 95 doesn't always detect it until I reboot. Anyway, long story short is I got it working, but this is as stable as a box of dynamite. No smoking. So we enter a hallway and, oh, oops. Yeah, I forgot to do that. Sorry. So we enter a hallway and this sound plays every single time you come back to the hallway. Let's have a listen.
Oh.
We also have a guy in a Viking hat holding some toilet paper moving from door to door. He seems to have his own agenda. And next we foil a security camera by jumping back and forth, but only in the right axis. Naturally, that opens the electronically locked door. And around here, we get a cutscene of some not creepy at all anthropomorphic plants acting as underground freedom fighters working against the rabbit, because he wants to add them to the soup. Also here, we have what may be the most telegraphed joke I've seen in my life. The game spends about a minute and a half explaining that they need a secret agent who is stealthy, skilled, inconspicuous, and so on. Essentially the opposite of everything Granny is. It's a slow and dragging description of what he's looking for. But the cutscene finally ends and we enter a police station. By the moon. A moon. Something. Here we get interrogated, roughed up by a cop who's probably a woman, and get thrown out. And back to another long cutscene of the plant discussing how you are not the right person for the job of spy, while the head plant keeps interpreting the opposite of what he says. This goes on forever. It's the same joke as before. What could be funnier than explaining what's coming for 4 minutes? Like, hey, if somebody is walking and slips on a wet floor, that can be funny. But if somebody else says, now watch out, the floor is really wet, are you listening? I said the floor is wet because it's... Ah! This part is terrible! Back to Granny. So not one to be dissuaded, she returns and we listen to sounds of torture alongside easy listening music.
How the fuck did this game get made? This is actually insane. I know for a fact this is the exact point I would have given up if I played this, the hallway with the weird voices. I mean, I would have fucking given up the moment I had to, at the beginning, place that, click that hidden door in the bottom left corner on the screen, of the screen, man.
Then, according to the walkthrough, we need to strangle the desk clerk with our scarf. They even go so far as to say you have to wait until he bends down to get something. Just say goodnight. There. Now I know what you're thinking.
She broke his fucking neck also, oh my god.
Did she cause him to pass out, or did she just straight up murder him? Well, revisiting this area much later in the game, after a lot of things have happened, the clerk's body is still there. So yeah, I think she killed him. Granny also smashes some guy's head in so she can steal his telescope. I'm not sure we can blame all this on dementia anymore. Maybe Granny is just a bad person. Jesus, oh well. Next it's off to the hair salon. The hedgehog is getting her spikes trimmed, so of course Granny's going to wreck everything. We have to set a trap for the hairdresser. This part I understand. I mean, I don't understand the motive, but I understand the concept. An open manhole for him to fall into. So how do we get him to fall into the trap? Well, we have to sit on the couch, then wait until Granny shifts her legs, then quickly click on the couch again because we have a small time window and a small hit detection also. Then, her getting up from the chair and doing absolutely nothing causes the hairdresser to fall into the manhole. If you don't do it exactly like this, it won't work.
What? Why?
Who would ever think to do this? You wouldn't even do this through dumb luck because the timing is so specific and there's no visual indication that you're doing anything different. On the contrary, there's even a red herring where you can knock a bust off the shelf. Seems like that would be part of the trap, right? No, that does absolutely nothing. I've had the idea before that instead of handing out prison sentences, you could just sentence someone to beat a game in a specific way before they're let out of prison. Like if you're charged with aggravated assault, you have to go to prison until you can beat Super Meat Boy with only 1 life. And if you murder someone, you get to be armed and delirious with no hints. So with the hairdresser out of the way, the next
So
step
basically a life sentence is what they're suggesting, Ross, because holy fuck. Oh my god.
to eliminate the hedgehog. This one is easy. You just tell her shoes are the same as yours and insult her. This allows you to reveal the secret passage, even though there's no reason you needed that chair. You can push it forward earlier also. And despite Granny's zippy movements, he or she actually walks like a real old person down the stairs. There's a reason for this, coming right up. We enter the room and...
I think that... It's forbidden to think, talk, or do anything that's not in the interest of finding the passage. But... It's forbidden to think. Believe me, it's for your own good.
After the voice releases you, we have maybe 5 seconds to solve this puzzle. Nope, too late. Yeah, now we need to start all over again. Take your time, Granny. Oh yeah, take your time on these steps too. Ah, I can't take it. This game's grinding me down. That's it. Intermission. Intermission time.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ, man. I would have done something to myself or the computer if I had to play that. Holy shit. I would never figure that out in my life. Takes on a whole new meaning. As pointed out by a commenter, Ross' prison plan has a fatal flaw. Does a murderer who could figure this out purely on his own seem like someone you want free? Oh yeah, man. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If somebody actually figured out this game, they're a fucking psychopath. They need that electric chair. There shouldn't be out in society. Holy shit. Oh my, yeah, part 2 of this definitely later, because oh man, I would need to be a little bit drunk to keep going. Jesus Christ. Lord Almighty. Okay, snap back to reality with something a little bit more grounded and possibly better, and something that makes more sense. Fifth Deadly Shadows review by Mandalore Gaming, you know, the fifth free Admittedly, the idea that someone who stole a lot of stuff having to beat Pathologic with no hints or save would be an interesting thought experiment. Like, imagine making like a notorious kleptomaniac thief play through Fallout New Vegas and specifically ask him to beat Dead Money DLC. And every time like he dies, he has to reset his entire run. That would be also interesting to see. Do you think people who experience kleptomania also display that behavior in video games they play? That's interesting. I never actually thought about that. Anyway, Fifth Deadly Shadows. A game that was supposed to be free, I believe, made by a completely different studio than the first two games. This is the fifth game I have the least knowledge about, so should be fun.
I have seen that. The builder hath led me to thee. Builder, guide my arm!
We made it to the end of the trilogy. This is Thief Deadly Shadows. This was going to be called Thief 3, but the series was now making its debut on the Xbox, so they didn't want to be scaring any new players off. My brain always wants me to call this Thief Invisible War, with good reason. It has some of the exact same problems, uses the same weird version of Unreal 2, and was made by the same developer. But that would be a little too harsh. Looking Glass may have been gone, but a lot of key figures did return. Having the studio behind Deus Ex do it seems like the next best thing. I'm going to have to structure this video differently because like Thief 1 and 2, it has a fan patch. Unlike the others, this one is much more substantial. So right off the bat, I need to say what's terrible. And what better sign could there be than the main menu? You can see my recording icon flash up there because it's a little unstable. So how about a new game?
I got a tip last night from my fence. Heartless Perry.
Yeah, remember those haunting atmospheric briefing cutscenes? Those are all gone now. But things get worse. This is papyrus font. There are only two reasons to ever use this.
What the fuck? Okay, that's not what I expected. Man, fucking papyrus font jump scare. Holy.
One is you're a kid making a PowerPoint and you need your classmates to realize that you're in the know with ancient Egypt, or you're making a high concept album.
And you look into the eyes of the wolf, black and cold, red and old.
This is neither, so it sucks. For the first mission, you're locked into normal difficulty. This might seem overbearing until you actually play it, and wow. You need to follow every move laid out for you exactly, and if you deviate from it even a little bit, then you fail. I know it's just a tutorial, but it's surprising to see this kind of mindset in a Thief game. Thief 1's training was linear, sure, but this feels like it's on rails. If you're coming into this fresh off of Thief 1 or 2, you'll notice that the movement is awful. That's because this is both a first and third person game. After some experimenting, I found out the controls are designed for neither. In Deadly Shadows, your movement is based on animation. When Garrett turns or strafes, his body has to actually move first. So that jitter you see when the animation snaps directions also carries over to first person. It adds a terrible layer of jerkiness to everything you do. It's like your legs have to approve a bill before they let you turn.
What the fuck? Why would you want a movement like this in a fucking precise stealth game? Holy shit.
A quick lean to check a corner doesn't work anymore. It's slow and you expose yourself to the light because
I thought Thief 3 is kinda good. The whole time.
Because they're taking a weird gigantic step now. I can only guess that they figured most people would switch.
Maybe it has like other things going for it.
To third person to look around corners. Having a lean that terrible seems like a concession for people who want to stay playing in first person. The tutorial level is shockingly tiny, and this carries over into the next mission. The The rooms are cramped and narrow, but it's not over yet, because now the mission is broken up into different loading zones. So instead of having one big interconnected map, you'll have 2 or maybe 3 different levels built into one mission. This only emphasizes how crammed in things are now. It's kind of shocking how tiny these additional areas can be, but that's what you had to do to make it fit on the Xbox. This was a nice looking game for 2004, and that came at a sacrifice. It was also a PC performance hog. The engine has a lot of issues. If you run the game too well, lockpicking and ladders can break. Compatibility is bad, there's no proper widescreen, so let's try and fix things up a bit.
I mean,
Enter the sneaky...
That's kinda a given for... it's kinda a given for older games, you know. Always some compatibility issues. Thief 3 has redeeming features and it doesn't play as bad as you might think, but it's a massive step down.
Upgrade mod. It fixes lots of bugs and engine issues like T-Fix 1 and 2 did, but also includes options to make it feel more like the Thief I know and love. For this, I'm installing everything except for the texture pack and the Minimalist project. The textures still have that kind of out of place issue at times, but the Minimalist project does have some cool stuff in it. It's just very customizable, and you should probably know the game before you start monkeying with it. So what did I put in? Graphically, the fonts are sharper and there's proper widescreen support now. Some of the animations have been outright replaced. It's still not as responsive as the old game, but it's a noticeable improvement. There's still a jitter to the controls that will never fully go away, but I'll talk more about that in detail later. The tutorial mission can now be played on any difficulty, and the glowing feet only appear on easy. Some loot has been added, so it's now kind of a proper mission. And in some amazing news, the level loading zones are now gone. Once again, you play in one big map. This is one of the reasons I love video games. Sometimes you come back to the—
Oh, it had like segmented maps with loading screens. Okay, interesting.
Years and years later in the community.
This game is unfortunately one of those good if it was an original title kind of games. Oh, gotcha.
Has made all kinds of cool stuff for them.
So like people often say this. I don't know if I agree, but whatever. It falls into the category of good game, not a good Thief game, essentially.
Speaking of, guess what else is back?
I got a tip last night from my fence. Heartless Perry. A nobleman named Lord Julian has...
Oh, that's so cool that they fucking made their own like bootleg atmospheric cutscenes. That's an awesome fun addition. Holy shit.
Some sort of quarrel and showed up at a local inn well after nightfall.
All the mission briefings have cutscenes again. They are a bit limited since hand-drawn art takes time and money and they had to use screenshots, but the style is emulated really well. The choice of music and audio stingers is great. Once again, this is all highly tweakable, but the default install should take care of you. Typically when I recommend mods for a first-time player, it's something pretty, you know, light. This is more of an overhaul than usual. I just want that to be cooking in the back of your brain. It is substantial, but I think it's the best way you could play the game. But the vanilla game is worse in a lot of ways. It's due to hard, unpaid work that a few people did that we even have it this good. So finally, I can play the game. Garrett has quite the adventure resume, but once again—
Come on, where's the like fucking hard rock or metal screeching?
He's back to basics. It's not clear exactly how long it's been since Thief 2, but I'd have to guess at least a few years, because things look quite a bit different compared to Thief 2. That's a good place to start. Where Thief 2 could look a lot like the Dark Project, Thief 3 is on a brand new engine. The lighting is dramatic, using stencil shadows for its darkness. The same thing that games like Fear would use. The clarity makes it a lot easier to tell where you can sneak. The series was usually good about this, but there would be times when it was hard to tell how dark was dark. The light gem seeming to be brighter than I would think still happens, but not nearly as often. Also, a compass is attached to it now, which is a fantastic change. Controlling light is still a key to success, but there are some new tricks this time. You can be revealed by environmental effects like lightning or moving light sources.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I don't think I ever seen another game where that happens. Holy fuck.
Like the enemies that now carry them. So you can't rely on...
That's actually great, the thing with the, lightning revealing you. My god.
Every guard just bumbling after you in the dark anymore. Sure, the models are better, and the textures are better sometimes, but the new lighting is really where I found the most benefit. It's a case where having better graphics enhances the gameplay. It's clear where to sneak, and visually there's a lot of atmosphere. As for the art direction, it's gone backwards. In Thief 2, the city was going through a mechanical Victorian revolution, and that's all over. The only sign of the Mechanist Revolution even happening are some journal entries and a few turntables. It is mentioned that some massive trials happened, so I guess they decided that Karis was just like the Hindenburg of people, and stopped using anything he had anything to do with. So there are no robots this time, or cameras, or alarms, or even that many electronic lights. Though when they do show up a lot, you're in for a treat. So we're back to that more gothic style that Thief 1 had, where they just happen to have some electricity around. Honestly, I do prefer that over it going full steampunk, but it still feels like a bit of a loss. At the very least, I would have loved to have like a Mechanist's holdout map, where they still have cameras and alarms and robots stomping around. Instead, technology seems to have regressed even beyond Thief 1. The hammers didn't ban it or anything because they are still making new stuff. It just seems like things were pulled too far back. But maybe that's more of a gameplay issue. It might stand out to me more because the location variety is a lot lower than it used to be. If you like stonework and castles, you're gonna have a good time. There's so much stone. Biblical Divorce Court didn't have this much stone. The Dark Project had a lot of castles too, but there might be like some red brick or wood paneling. There was distinction to it, and the Metal Age really stepped that up. Deadly Shadows does have some standout areas, but they feel more rare. After staring at footage like a madman for a while, I thought of some more reasons why. If you played the missions back to back, it might not be an issue.
Yeah, you know what? I really think, like, looking at footage of Thief 1 and 2, especially 1, there was a lot of, like, wooden, like, normal rooms and buildings where in some rooms stone was absent, right? And, like, that's cool visually, and I think that's kinda realistic. You know, the living quarters of people who could afford it were made out of wood instead of stone. And like, it's uniquely a Thief thing, because when games go on full-on castles, like, I don't know, thinking back to something like Amnesia, The Dark Descent, why wasn't there a single room made entirely of just nice fucking wood, you know? Everything has to be stone if you have a castle in a video game. It's kind of a fucking, not only boring, but also annoying. I don't know, it always like was a pet peeve of mine that when you enter a castle in a video game, your chances of seeing a nice like wooden room are so fucking low. It's crazy.
The thing is, Deadly Shadows now has a city hub. You come back to it after every mission, you can buy and sell items, there are side quests. The point for now is that you'll be coming here a lot. The hub is mainly narrow castle streets, so then you go to a mission that looks just like it. It's atmospheric and looks nice, but it gets repetitive. What makes it worse is, as I said before, the levels are crunched down. It's a subconscious effect that's hard to put into words, so I'm wrestling with my caveman brain here. Thief has always tried to sell its levels as being like a real place. It had a scale to match that, which is still pretty staggering now. First City Bank and Trust feels like a place. It's enormous and interconnected, but also has some areas that would just be in a bank. You have teller offices, conference rooms, areas for the workers. There are out-of-the-way areas with no treasure that I guess you could hide in, but not many guards around there either. It's just something that a building like this would have. But now think that you're very space limited. You can't fit in as much non-essential stuff like that anymore. Your levels are already being cut apart by loading screens. So they tried to keep that aspect, but it's so scaled down that it's just kind of silly. The first few levels are especially bad about this. Everything is so narrow and so many rooms are similarly sized that they all begin to feel the same. Like, lacking openness in a castle's hallways is understandable. It doesn't feel lavish, but I buy it. When you get to the Fisher-Price Great Hall though, that's when it's apparent something's wrong. When things do open up more, it still feels sparse and empty. They probably couldn't fit anything else in. Again, I'm not saying that everything's barren. There are some great locations and they use the most out of what they got, but what they got wasn't a whole lot. So if you're feeling boxed in over and over, it's because you are. Deadly Shadows uses EAX4, so once again you're in for some good sound.
Anybody there? We're friendly and don't know how to fight.
The sound effects themselves are very clean. They don't have that grainy sounding compression that some of the first two games had at times. So the way sound propagates is better than ever. I knew it was good when I can make it back outside of a castle just by listening for the crickets.
Oh yeah, that's very nice. Holy goddamn.
Some good sound. The voice acting is excellent too, and all professionally done. If anyone was grabbed out of their office chair to do some lines this time, I couldn't tell. There's a lot more characters and different interactions now, so that's pretty impressive. As expected, Steven Russell is better than ever.
Ah, the city. Obey the law, and there's no need to worry about the residents. The city watch are the guys who want to lock me up, though. Gotta keep my eye out for them.
They're just a bit on the testy side, you know? Grumpy 'cause they're wet.
Idiot. Wet or dry, zombies don't care.
Oh!
The only thing that's a step down quality-wise is the music. It's not grating, it's competent, but I don't remember it. They're fitting tension tracks when you're playing the level, but nothing really stuck with me. It is mixed in with the ambience like usual, so I wasn't expecting anything huge here. You just won't have an assassin's breakbeat or creepy sirens from Framed. Though to be fair, this game is probably the scariest. By most accounts, the sound is better than ever, which makes this next part of it even stranger. Out of the entire trilogy of games, sound probably matters the least here. Previously, you would do your best to avoid metal and tile flooring. It would give you away quick, and training emphasized the importance of these surfaces. Thief 3 also has this, but a lot less importance is put on it. Moss arrows used to be an essential tool. In Deadly Shadows, I used them one time. At least when I did it for sneaking. Now they're a choking hazard. Ironically, the reason I did use them was I went, oh, I probably need footage of using a moss arrow. What ended up happening was the sound of the arrow ended up alerting the guard.
What the fuck? Oh my god, they massacred that mechanic. Holy.
If the guard was around, the ideal time to use it, it would be better to not use it. Okay. It is more realistic rather than guards just not noticing like before, but you don't need moss arrows to set up a Kevin McAllister ambush. You just walk up and blackjack them. The surfaces just don't matter as much.
For fucking real? But they don't hear that?
It would be cool if guards could acknowledge the loud-ass thump of a body hitting the floor or the clatter of a sword. If we're gonna have a smaller level, maybe the takedowns could be riskier. There's already an in-game mechanic to support this. Magic users are dangerous enemies until you pickpocket their wand off them, so maybe you could choke a guard out or grab their weapon first. It's just so strange to have the sound be so much better but mechanically less important. There is one thing they hear really well. Before, if you picked up a junk item, you had a button to gently set it down. You don't have that degree of control anymore. You're at the mercy of havoc physics. I'll drop it on carpet.
Father, I hear thou there.
It seems way less consistent this time. A sound I make could do nothing, or have every guard in the zip code run over. So that's disappointing, but let's get into the gameplay. The most immediate change is how difficulty is handled. It now changes the enemy AI. For the record, everything I just talked about has been on Expert. The map won't change around and you won't get crazy new side objectives. Instead, you'll need to collect more treasure. On Expert, that's 90% of the mission's loot value and 3 special loot items. This goes for every mission. First of all, 90% is high. You typically had way more room to miss stuff before, or you just didn't have to loot anything. They realized for the sake of the narrative it would sometimes be a bad idea to make people hunt around for treasure. Deadly Shadows absolutely has maps that get hurt by this requirement. But more than that, not everyone wanted to play these games to pick up every piece of petty cash. Now you have to, or you get dumber enemies. They had such a good difficulty system, which added some replayability. It sucks to see it thrown out. The treasure hunting itself is made a little bit less clear. Let me show you what I mean. The screenshot has loot. Can you see it? Did you guess these 2 cups specifically? I would not have known, but the game now has a glare effect to tell you what treasure is. Candle on top is loot, candle on the floor is junk. These are some subtle differences. If the loot didn't have this
that's just
effect,
weird.
would you know to steal it? How about this one? Something by the jars? Also, this map has worthless banners all over the place. Looks important, not treasure. Out of the way, that's treasure.
Turn the lights off when I still need them. Truly, these are dark times.
What? So loot glare helps out, but it's not always there. Special loot in particular can require some reading, so make sure you're paying attention. Because the briefing won't tell you what to look for, you'll need to find clues in-game. It's that 90% requirement that's the problem. The one time I couldn't make the loot requirements in the first 2 games was Haunted Cathedral. But it didn't take me long. To pass it, you needed about 75%. You can miss a decent amount and still be fine. With 90, you can miss a single chest in a corner and have to hunt around for it. It's weird because these are the smallest maps in the series, but I probably had to go back and hunt for loot about 2 or 3 times. It's so steep that it actually takes away a story decision. There's a level called the House of the Widow Moira. I like this one a lot. It's a seaside mansion that reminds me a bit of Dark Corners of the Earth. It's also right next to the mission with the fish people. But this is good, there are secret passages and tunnels and it feels like a thief game. The thing is, I always want to call it the Window Moira because the widow's always staring out a window. You can help her out a bit and she'll send you a nice note, but that won't happen on Expert. Because now you have to steal the inheritance that her loving husband left her. She's like, not well. The sneaky upgrade actually has an option to change this because it's so weird. The thing is, none of this would matter and I would just say play on hard, but then you get the dumber AI. In conclusion, the difficulties are weird. As for the mission-to-mission gameplay, it's still really good. The same core gameplay loop is here with some enhancements and some changes. I'll start with some positives. Even with the sound inconsistency, the guards act smarter than before. They search more methodically and they're prone to noticing missing objects. They're better at running off for help and just working together.
I believe I saw something. It's very strange.
I'm with you.
Suspicious guards are now more of a challenge. There was a change to blackjacking that I didn't like at first, but I did grow to appreciate it. When you can score a knockout, it now raises automatically. It's now a sure thing that they'll hit the ground. Because there would be those times when you had a perfect one lined up and it just would not happen. The catch is, if an enemy is now suspicious with their weapon out, you cannot knock them out with a blackjack. Their senses are high and they're bracing for attack. Something like that. Noisemaker arrows and other suspicious tools now get them amped, so distracting and stunning tools can't be used to knock people out. This does include the flash bomb. It is a little silly that this makes them immune, but flash bombs are very available now. It would be an I win button, but that's what gas is for. But that's more pricey. Also, you have to worry about the demonic chairs. They will try to kill you, and they give their users terrible power. I don't know why. Their power is that you can't blackjack anybody sitting down. That's weird. Everyone knows sitting...
Why? Why?
...is when you're most vulnerable to a blackjack.
You're kidding with that, right?
Don't try it. As for your robbery loadout, some items have been cut, but it's a good arsenal. How you use...
Hold on, I really gotta readjust myself here. Man, that blackjacking the fucking guards and people sitting down thing is so weird. Like, yeah, when a NPC sits down, you naturally assume they are more vulnerable, not fucking less.
Some items like holy water was changed around, and the only brand new item is an oil flask. You can set people on fire or just do Home Alone shenanigans. Out of everything, the bow and its many arrows have remained largely intact. Broadheads, water arrows, they're almost all here. Unfortunately, the one that was cut was pretty significant as you no longer have rope arrows. I guess vine arrows too if you want to stretch. I'm not entirely sure why this happened. It can't be the levels being too small since some do have some verticality to them. If I had to guess, it would probably be that it didn't work or it looked really stupid in third person. Whatever the reason, it is replaced with a new ability you get later on. Handy wall climbing gloves. They only work on certain surfaces and there is some, technique to them. Remember the whole animation-based movement system? Well, that's still happening. See, here I can easily climb up because there's room for it, unlike here where there is no room. The ledge is too tiny and I'd fall, but this one is okay because there's a little more room, and this one, they expected me to climb through the banister? It's walled off. This is the only way to get up there. It's time to talk about the movement. The wall climbing is awkward and incredibly shitty lined up next to the rope arrow. You don't need to do it too often, so fine. But when I'm just walking and get stuck on the staircase, oh, it's bad.
What?
The third-person view does let me see what I'm getting stuck on, so I feel less crazy because sometimes I'm stuck on nothing. Is it the pipe? Are the floor tiles too high? I don't know.
Like, what the fuck were they cooking with this movement system, man? Because it seems a whole lot of nothing.
I get through. From time to time you get stuck and it breaks down completely. If your movement suddenly becomes smooth and really good and responsive, it's actually because the game's breaking and your legs aren't moving. You can't do anything though, so you do have to reload a save. Let me show you the pain of it working. That jump seems pretty low, but is it too high for legs and too short for arms? Yes. In the previous games this would be a brainless jump, but now it's pretty tricky. What really gets me is I fell again and dropped on the platform below and saw this really high jump and then no problem. The things that can happen are beyond my understanding. And no, it's not the sneaky upgrade doing something because this has way less problems. Now imagine doing precise movement. I could do a tightrope before, but now look at this board. I lurch forward, the screen freaks out, and I fall, because each leg isn't really making contact. When I say the controls feel like they were designed for neither view, this is what I mean. In first person I could climb it, I'm just being careful not to let a leg go over. But I'm fine after. In third person it looks weird, but I can do it just fine. At least until I get to the pipe on the end, which I'm too high to jump on. I look down and try to climb, nothing. I go to first person, look down, then it works. I don't know what you want from me. Third person was a mistake. It didn't have to be like contemporary stealth games. I wouldn't mind it if the controls weren't compromised. To no big shock, swimming is also gone. Which, again, is understandable, but then why have the Sunken Citadel? A level about a sunken ruin filled with fish people. Like, it's a fine level on its own, though it might be the most appropriate in the series to have some underwater sections, and this doesn't have that. It's the slightly damp Citadel. I know
this was definitely an idea that might seem good in theory, having your animations dictate your movement, but it's not good in practice. It's a good idea for a game like fucking Red Dead Redemption, where you want to be everything as realistic as possible, even if it makes your movement shitty, but in Thief? I don't think so. Like, that's not even a good idea for Thief, I think.
Thief 2 designed levels before making the story, but this seems like that, but even farther back. Like, assets were being made before they were sure what the mechanics would be. Most of the time, playing on Expert meant you couldn't kill anybody, but now you have free reign to kill combatants because it has to be more freeform. At one point in the story, Garrett is framed for killing a keeper, so he needs to infiltrate their compound to find evidence that proves he's innocent. And during this mission, you can kill keepers. The story and gameplay were incredibly intertwined, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Whether it's story or just moving, there's a disconnect there. It feels like playing a different immersive sim. The starting philosophy was murder is the mark of an amateur. You could block with your sword and kill creatures, but you didn't want to kill people.
What can I do?
The cold feels nothing now. Garrett, I begs, return me to the green. Kill me.
This is a pretty big moment in Thief 2. Garrett's always been adamant that he's a thief, but he's not a murderer. Gameplay-wise it's simple, but as a character, it feels like a big choice for Garrett. You don't have to do this. Now you have a cool dagger to do backstabs with. Maybe they were trying to give more mechanical freedom to compensate for smaller spaces. I don't know what the reasons were, but it feels less focused overall. So now's a good time to bring up the city hub. After a mission you come back to town, usually to Garrett's apartment.
It's not much, but it's home.
It's not a big equipment stash or anything, so you won't spend much time here besides robbing your neighbors and your landlord. There's now a town to explore and random pedestrians to mug. The area is as confined as you'd expect, but there are fun things to do. Besides random breaking and entering, there are many side quests to pick up. My favorite being sleazy fake Garrett.
All right, Mr. Brent. And don't forget, if you want Garrett-type services, you gotta offer Garrett-type prices.
It's nowhere near as elaborate as a mission, but they're fine side attractions. You'll also be doing a lot of sneaking or running. Garrett remains wanted by the City Watch, who will either kill him or throw him in prison. You skulk around finding secrets, and the town changes a little bit day by day. Nothing too big. More importantly, you're also unlocking new districts to visit. This gives you access to new black market fences. You have to pawn off all your loot after all, and some fences only deal in specific items. The same goes for buying new equipment from different shops. Everything is persistent now and carries over between missions. So you can hoard up items, but due to progression you can't get endgame stuff until later. Your health also carries over, so to not die you need to keep stocked up on health potions. I'm kind of conflicted on the hub. When I first played it and was exploring around, it seemed neat. It was a bit cramped like everything else, but it had good atmosphere, and I liked the idea of actually having to go and sell your goods. It was also interesting that you had to find the map so it would help you in some later levels. Then as I got more familiar with it and the novelty ran out, I started to not care for it. Especially when I found out that guards get tired after running for a while, so you could just outrun everything. You don't have to skulk around. Then as more districts unlocked, I switched around and started appreciating it again. I do like it as a grounding point, and without it, the game would be very short. The only thing I hate is how big of an area it claims to be. The city always seemed monolithic and ancient. Ironically, by actually showing it in a limited way like this, it ruins that effect. This brings me to the fact
yeah, I was about to say, to me the hub world seems very cool actually. So yeah, good that there are obviously some shortcomings because of how the game is made in general, but yeah, it seems to function as it should, and even if you break it a little bit, it's still, you know, a nice thing. Okay, give me like 2 minutes. This Pepsi is doing something to my bladder, man. I gotta be right back. And yeah, yeah, I definitely overestimated my ability to like shut the fuck up and actually watch the video, because I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it to that next Warlock Race video. We're just gonna wrap this up, and I'm gonna finish the stream.
Action system.
The Hammers and Pagans are mad at me because of jobs I did for the Keepers. I better find out what they want and then decide whether or not I want to bother trying to improve their opinion of me.
This was not something I expected the first time I played. You can only get points with the Hammers or the Pagans since they're the ones having the gang wars in the street. This only affects how they react to you in the street. In missions you can maim or kill as many as you want, it doesn't matter. For the sake of gameplay it has to be this way. There are a few mini quests you can do to gain favor with a faction, but you have two main methods. For the Hammers, you kill exploding beetles that eat their structures. They explode like they're an Aqua Teen hunger force and cause mass panic. For the Pagans, you shoot arrows in especially marked stones, like the big green one next to the letter giving you that assignment. So that's simple enough. You would think. That's not the stone. They look like this. They are barely perceptible. I can bet— whoa. Oh right, the mechanical eye does that now. It doesn't matter. Or maybe it should have highlighted loot. No, I'm moving on. This helps plants grow and the Pagans like that. There are other things to do, but you can easily get on the good side of both factions. If you are buddies, you can hang out in their areas of the city without being attacked. Things that you might have to sneak or steal to get access to, they just let you have. If you're a moron like me and kill every bug and find every rock, you get a reward in your apartment. The Pagans give you a shrubbery that grows moss arrows, and the Hammers give you a pipe that drains Tylenol. Of course, with the way districts unlock, the game is basically over by the time you get these. I can only blame myself, and I do. It is kind of half-baked, but it does lead to one of the funniest parts of the game being even funnier. I'll get more into the story soon, but this is too good not to show. When Garrett is on trial for Keeper murder, he escapes, so they deploy the Keeper.
So since I mentioned it before, and while we're on a break, I would recommend checking out Ludwig's video called "The Video Ends When I Beat Winnie the Pooh Home Run Derby." It's highlights from a 7-hour stream. Okay, I need to put that on the list.
Enforcers after him. They're superhuman assassins who only communicate telepathically. There's a whole document about how cool and badass their training regime is, which I think is something I specifically praised Thief 1 for not doing, but they are very hyped up. They're always alert, always on the hunt for— wait, there's a beetle.
Is it Garrett? I hear someone.
The Enforcers are using telepathy to communicate silently. I don't think they know I can hear them.
You disrupt my mission.
Then it sounds like they're killing people at random. Oh, Jesus Christ, what? They look scary, but I killed beetles.
I shall fell the beast!
Tonight, having spite the builder's enemy.
This is chaos.
Master Payne, it is a great honor having you beating random people in our town.
Where's the damn watchman?
What's all this?
Priorities I want to criticize just fly away. Why would secret assassins go on a murder spree? Could telepathic communication use like ethereal humming or something more creative? All of that pales to how stupid the chaos is. They'll get a few townspeople, but in the end they get demolished every single time. You don't need to be an ally to witness this, it just makes watching it all unfold even easier. Like Thief 2, this game was also rushed. And I think the circus this part is one of those parts that they didn't have time to refine. This isn't a silly one-off thing either. The final boss mission also happens in the city. The enemies don't die this time, but it looks just as silly. To make it worse, the Enforcers are automatically buffed a little by the sneaky upgrade. When I first played the game, this was even more one-sided. There's an option to make them cloaky and only hunt you, but I didn't want to ruin the vanilla experience. This is what came out, and I doubt it's what they intended. Getting into the story, I'm mixed on things, but overall kind of positive. On one hand, it is much more tell don't show. The game relies more on notes and journals than environmental storytelling, except for one level especially, which I'll get to. I remember it, it remembers me. Anyway, having a dictionary of what, like, all the insults mean is stupid. However, all the catching up new players stuff mainly happens in these notes. So the main story doesn't have Garrett retreading things that longtime players already know. It's to the point where first-time Xbox players were probably confused on what was happening. As a longtime player, I was happy with it. That said, some of these notes desperately needed a different way to convey the information. Ha ha ha, Garrett would never find my weakness, so would let him do this with his blackjack. As established previously, the Keepers have written everything that will happen. The Dark Project and Metal Age were both prophesized. They used their sneaky means to change destiny. Except now the writings appear to be changing on their own, so something's happening. Garrett, who keeps stumbling into this cryptic bullshit, is involved again. If he steals 2 items for the Keepers, they'll give him access to the prophecies. Most of the missions have nothing to directly do with this narrative. It's a similar layout to the Dark Project, but much more compressed. So here's what I think without spoilers.
The prophecies are clear. There is much ahead to be wary of.
Initially, my thought was shining a light onto the Keepers like this was a huge mistake. The more you reveal about a secret, mysterious organization, the higher chances are that you accidentally reveal something stupid. It's them and precursor aliens. If you have precursor aliens in a series, the longer it goes on, the higher the chances are that some writer will say they created humans or were humans. It doesn't always happen, but it happens enough where I get nervous. Deadly Shadows was getting me nervous.
Ah, I see your point. And the error in your thinking. The compendium was lost ages ago. How could it possibly be on a ship that has just come into port?
What? What does that mean?
Enough, scribe. I have important business to attend to, in case you haven't heard.
Oh no, they're getting dumb.
You've moved up in the world, Orland. Nice view.
Yes, I have.
Character I've never seen or heard of before, but Garrett doesn't like him. I hope he's not trouble.
This will admit you to certain areas of the library. Do not venture further. You will not ply your trade here, thief. If anything happens, you will be held accountable. Is this clear?
Perfectly.
The Keepers being revealed as squabbling bureaucrats seemed awful. I guess their previous mystique made me think that they were above all that, though at the same time it does explain more why Garrett left. I always accepted that, it wasn't a burning question or anything, but sure, the Keepers are flawed like anyone else and they squabble a lot. I thought the Keeper internal power struggle was going to be the focus, which it is, but some elements get twisted around. Interesting elements do come out of that, but unfortunately, some of it does feel like a retread of the Dark Project. If you don't want spoilers, go to here.
Good.
Alright, forget the Keeper garbage for now, it's time for Shalebridge Cradle.
This place hath nothing of value for thee to steal.
I'm more interested in those papers of yours. If they can tell me anything about a crone that talks to statues.
Thou hast seen the hag?
Not just seen. She tried to kill me, but I hear you've been trailing her for years.
Yea, I hath followed her trail, but it hath not been clear. I had even doubted anon that her crimes were more than my own imaginings. But that thou hadst seen her as well. 'Twas in my boyhood, in the orphanage known as the Shalebridge Cradle, that I spied her. I didst play at a game with mine friend, and I was hidden, and my friend sought me. Then a hag, a bent and evil apparition, came from the darkness, near enough to touch, and my friend did scream. But I was a child, and afraid, and then it was over. The orphanage grew a dark and haunted place, and now none dare enter. When came I to my manhood, and was saved by the order of the hammer, I sought the hag again.
The hag is our real villain. She's being revealed very late into the game. These are the final 2 missions. The setup is creepy, and the art reminds me of the old Thief cutscenes. It is a hard turn at this point, but it's a welcome one.
I'm used to the dark, but this feels like a house with bad dreams.
Yeah, let's go in. Shalebridge Cradle is like a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, but more pleasant, being a combo asylum and orphanage. Walking in, there are no guards, no signs of anybody. This will already be throwing people off. And then the noises start.
God damn. Should have made more fucking missions like this, I guess.
There's so much tension. You have no clue what to expect. You've encountered the supernatural before at this point of the game, so now anything goes. There's so much restraint shown. You're allowed to explore and absorb the creepy scenery. You know it's effective when the lights come on and you feel less safe. Right when you're sort of getting used to the outer cradle, you need to go deeper. There was a loading screen here. It's gone now. I remember it making me feel even more trapped.
There's a universe where every level was given the attention the Cradle got, and this is one of the best games ever. Yeah, we landed in the wrong multiverse, buddy.
Holy shit, I am invested. When people make lists for the scariest video game levels, the asylum appears frequently. A lot of the horror does come from not expecting it. You have encountered the undead at this point. They run now, but that still has nothing on the cradle. The residents are some kind of undead, so many of your usual tricks won't work on them. But these aren't your average undead. These are the puppeted corpses of the asylum's prisoners. They never refer to this all being hag magic or something like that. At least I hope so, if it's written down somewhere I didn't read it. It's all caused by the pure evil of this location. It's a traditional haunting. Besides the ghouls moving like Jacob's Ladder characters, the horror also comes from seeing they have some kind of intelligence to them. They're trapped in the past in quite a few ways. Each of the cells gives a little glimpse at the life of the patient who lived there. It is explained more in a note, but it is for the sake of gameplay. Unlike most other missions, there's a narrative here beyond just go steal the thing. It's a ghost story, so once again, you work with a ghost.
She looks familiar. It's that keeper translator girl. But that can't be. This portrait must be as old as the building.
I can hear you breathing. Nobody here in the cradle does that anymore.
Terry's voice acting is also incredible. Mystery of the time loop aside, she needs Garrett's help. The will of the cradle is keeping her spirit trapped there. To sever that link and free her, objects that remind the cradle of her must be destroyed. First, you get rid of a blood sample. Then you need to find her nightgown, which will need to be burned up in the morgue. It's not too eventful. When that's done, the patient's cells and their items come back into play. You need to choose an object and then bring it to where the patient liked to hang out, which you would know from reading the journal. However, doing so sends you into the past as that patient. Sort of. You can now be caught by the shadowy forms of the staff. They are deeply unpleasant. If you get caught, you'll have to try again with a new object in a new area, or load a save. Even now, this is still a scary level. I'm sure some horror game fans might not find it as scary as some modern ones, but at bare minimum, it should be pretty interesting. You can see the DNA that formed some later horror games. The series has always had some influential levels, and this time around, it's the Cradle. That said, if you are stocked up, you can obliterate all these haunts like crazy. Deadly Shadows has been very do-what-you-want so far, but if you want the best time, try and be sneaky. I mean, it's a video game. Don't you play those to have fun? Fine, fun's over. The Cradle is fantastic.
I love it that every time fun in video games is brought up, immediately pathologic comes into the fucking equation to stump that idea out.
A while. As much as I enjoy it, I do think it overstays its welcome. Because after the Toy in the Past trip, you're still not done.
You get my diary? In the real world, it's all torn apart, and we never find all the pages. But in the past, it's just the way I left it.
Okay, all the way back to the outer cradle, back to the attic. Depending on the object you picked, you might be closer. I now have the diary, back to the inner cradle to burn it.
My diary is gone. Good. The cradle can barely remember me anymore.
No way,
but I can still see the bloodstain.
No way there is more. Holy fuck. That is stretching it a little bit.
You'll need to clean it up and...
Alright, got the cleaner. Back to the inner cradle again. This stain is gone.
You did it! The cradle can't remember me anymore. We can leave now. Meet me in the...
Sorry. You just got some
Lobby.
message.
I'll show you the way out.
Thing.
With all that done, you can finally leave the cradle and...
Oh no, you can't leave, can you? I know why. This place remembers you now. You've been here too long. There's only one way to leave the cradle. You have to trick it. I'll help you. First you have to enter the past as your real self.
Are we going to make a 3-year plan for this? Does the cradle remember my tax returns? Do I need to throw them in the furnace? The tension gets pushed into tedium. The final sequence is great, but it feels like there was some padding to get there. It's likely another consequence of the levels being constrained. They can't have a massive asylum, so they have to run you through this a few times. It seems you could cut a task out and not miss a whole lot. Now you finally escape. Assuming you got all the loot you needed. You did that, right? So how is this ghost child alive?
Let the book of names record that... Interpreter Gamal, what's wrong?
Oh, look. No.
Curse her stinking, rotting bones! You think you can snare me, trap me with your secrets? I am secret, kept for decades. You scratch out glyphs and think you have them, but I wear them, drink them, breathe them, know them far better than you. I am glyphs now and for all time.
I'm me again. She can't use it anymore.
Gamal the Hag was using Laurel's body to disguise herself. Even with her being revealed as some kind of Lovecraftian John Carpenter monster, it feels like such a retread of the Trickster's reveal, and not even close to that good. In the Dark Project, the Trickster is a hidden in plain sight kind of villain. When you replay the game, you notice more hinting about him that you didn't before. Check out the cutscene before the Bone Horde. It used to be abstract, but oh, there's the Trickster ruling the woods. The Builder comes and humanity builds up and they cast him out. Now that you've played it, you have the whole picture. Deadly Shadows has conversations saying, have you heard about the Hag? I don't think the Hag is real. Who else seen the Hag? Say yeah. What I find more intriguing about her was what she was actually up to. She's an ancient, centuries-old magic user who infiltrated the Keepers. It is easy to do that when you help found the organization. The Keepers always thought they were safeguarding the city and changing fate. It turns out that with this kind of magic, destiny is set in stone. The Keepers had no real influence at all. She was manipulating them to think they were by removing key prophecies that would mention her, change notes here and there, and get rid of anyone who got too close to the truth. Then frame Garrett, because Garrett can turn people to stone. Whatever. Garrett is a chosen one called the True Keeper. Ironically, his role is to destroy all Keeper magic, ending their power and control permanently. This could have been done in a creepy lair that the Hag has, patrolled by creepy animated statues, but instead we go back to the city hub. It's bad, but our favorite guard Benny does end up being a hero. At least in my game he was. Garrett succeeds in destroying glyph magic. The Keepers are revealed to all and their power is over. We're deep in prophecy and magic land, so this is up for interpretation. Whatever the case, it appears at long last that Garrett's story is over.
Fuck
The
off.
Thief trilogy is done, but a new story could start.
Lay down at least, man.
Let go of me.
That's not for you.
Please, sir.
Go away. Go away. I actually do like the twist that she's disguised the Hag who has been rewriting everything behind the scenes. It's clumsier, but I like the reveal a little more. I like the reveal from the first one more, but this is actually good. I really liked what Mandalore has shown here, so
I'm hungry.
You have talent. It's no easy thing to see a keeper. Especially one who does not wish to be seen.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but I love that ending. It's a solid bookend, and even if you don't continue the series, it's satisfying. It could have been a better game, but it also could have been a hell of a lot worse. There are still
True. That's definitely true. About a lot of those great good game, but not a good something game, you know.
Special moments to be had.
So
I know I spent a lot of this video talking about things that I hated or were a step down, but the bar was set so high by the previous entries that even this not being up to that is still a pretty okay game. If a wizard said I'm taking away your Thief 3 memories, I'd be sad. This game feels like listening to a song I love through an apartment wall. I can make out the beats and I'm not trying to sleep, so I'm having a good time, but I can't deny that all the fine details are being filtered out. Sometimes it's so muffled that I wonder, is that actually the song I like? They might be playing something else. Anyways, the trilogy sale is back on. A steal at 90 cents while I steal affiliation pennies. So ends the Thief trilogy, and who knows if it'll come back. There are still plenty of fan missions, and the Dark Mod is great, but I can't see an official new game happening, unless they pull a Deus Ex. That's a prequel that went over pretty well.
Take him to Detroit. No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that!
Okay, that can happen apparently. Yeah, that's everything for Thief 3, the Deadly Shadows. Man, I liked the hub world, but it seems like they shouldn't have put any fucking missions in there, man. Like, those missions should have been self-contained, without like those random side NPCs, because that's rough, man. That's rough. And yeah, for people watching on YouTube later, this is it. Thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. And for those watching on the stream, I will be ending it too. But first, I will add some of the things you mentioned in the chat to the Watch Later playlist. Video ends when I beat Winnie the Pooh. I am very much interested. I'm very much interested in this video. So
stage, because I don't think you guys understand what we're about to.
I'm shocked I didn't see this yet. To be honest. Let me see what else was there. I faked Minecraft speedrun.
I have never been good at one.
I think I seen something from the like Ludwig. I definitely know and seen some of his stuff. Danny Gonzalez, I definitely seen something of his, but I'm not very familiar with the channel. At the same time. And yeah, this will be everything. I will reorganize this a little bit for the stream, but you know, at some point I will probably get through all of that. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me and supporting the channel. Means a lot to me, and I will see you guys on the next stream, in the next video, whatever comes next, you know. There is always something next on the schedule. Let me do this real quick. So yeah, see you, and I hope everybody who turned up to the stream has a very pleasant